Chapter 1669, One-on-One Fight, 4, but, I didn't say I'd let them go easy. The White Rabbit's eyes widened in disbelief, as if the 19th Elder had just made a joke. You said you would help them. 19th Elder couldn't help but remind him, but he was cursing in his heart. What's wrong with this damn rabbit having amnesia? Had he forgotten everything he had just said in the blink of an eye? I did say that, but I won't go easy on them. The White Rabbit said with a don't worry expression. How do you want to help them? The 19th Elder asked in a daze. I won't tell you. This kind of thing can only be understood, not told. The little White Rabbit said mysteriously, causing Fengde and the others to giggle in a low voice. They realized that this little rabbit was too good at pranking people. It was indeed worthy of being one of them. He just had the ability to anger people to death. If you don't tell me, then there must be something between you two. I'm going to complain to Len Ruoxue, saying that you guys cheated. The 19th Elder was furious and threatened. As you wish. Since I dared to help them, it was naturally within my master's permission. Therefore, she would not blame me. You, on the other hand, actually dared to threaten me, I'm going to punish you. You can forget about leaving this place for the rest of your life. The little White Rabbit said fiercely. Although it could not lower the difficulty of the trial, it could still increase the difficulty. And since they dared to threaten it, the 19th Elder Council was doomed to be unlucky. You're threatening me? 19th Elder was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Damn it, this rabbit didn't want him to go out as a threat, and he couldn't do anything about it. This really made him feel helpless. Did I threaten him? The little White Rabbit turned around and asked Fengde and the others. No, I didn't. Fengde and the others quickly shook their heads. Hee. Old man, did you hear that? There's someone who can prove that I'm not threatening you. The little White Rabbit was very pleased with itself, and it kept provoking the 19th Elder with its eyes. You're all on the same side, so of course they'll side with you. The 19th Elder said. Then tell me, did I threaten him? Seeing this, the White Rabbit could only ask the 2nd Elder and the others. It couldn't be wronged, so it had to get to the bottom of this. No, I didn't. The 2nd Elder and the others looked at the 19th Elder apologetically and said in unison. They had no choice. Sacrificing him alone was better than all of them being trapped here, right? Moreover, this was trouble that 19th Elder had caused himself, so they could only apologize. They didn't want this rabbit to hate them too because of a 19th Elder who had nothing better to do. If that happened, they wouldn't be able to leave this place either. Thanks, the 2nd Elder and the others would never have imagined that they would be spared from the inexplicable punishment brought by the 19th Elder just because they stood on the White Rabbit's side. Hee. Did you hear that? They're your own people. The little White Rabbit said happily. These people were very understanding, and it was very satisfied. Moreover, since they were so good at causing trouble, it naturally had to give them some face and not punish them as well. Otherwise, it had no intention of letting these people off. You, the 2nd Elder, who had been deserted by his friends and relatives, was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. These guys were really disloyal. To think that they were all members of the Ning family. They actually hit someone when they were down. Sob. This is too hateful. 19th Elder. You should stop talking. The 7th Elder could not help but advise helplessly. It is. Old man, we're done fighting while you're talking. You really know how to waste time. No wonder you can't complete the task. The little White Rabbit touched on a sore spot and deliberately poured salt on the 19th Elder's wound. However, its words made 19th Elder extremely depressed. He wasn't the only one who didn't complete the mission, so why did he have to be the one to do it? However, he only dared to think about it in his heart. If he really said it out loud, he would probably offend everyone. The 19th Elder, who was already feeling miserable, naturally didn't want to do anything stupid. Old man. Let's continue. The victor hasn't been decided yet. Seeing that 19th elder had stopped talking, the white rabbit continued. Why isn't the winner decided? You swallowed the 19th elder's giant eagle and left a mark on his face. You're the winner. Fengde said with a smirk. But this old man isn't seriously injured, so it's not considered a win. The little white rabbit said stubbornly. It was not full yet, so how could it let this old man go? That makes sense. Seeing that the little rabbit still wanted to fight, Fengde could only helplessly agree, but in his heart, he thought, could it be that this little rabbit is addicted to eating eagles? Old man. Hurry up and make your move. I'll let you go first this time. The little white rabbit gave Fengde a look of admiration before speaking to the 19th elder. However, the 19th elder did not make a move. After waiting for a while, the 19th elder still didn't make a move, and the white rabbit was instantly enraged. Chapter 1670, The Shadowless Claw. 1. The little rabbit was angry, and the consequences were very serious. A bolt of white lightning shot towards the 19th elder at an incredible speed. Before the 19th elder could even react, the white rabbit had already reached out with all 4 of its claws. Watch my shadowless claw. The little white rabbit shouted. Whoosh! Buzz! Whoosh! A few flashes of light and shadows appeared, and several claw marks were left on 19th elder's face. The little rabbit's claws were extremely sharp, and 19th elder immediately cried out in pain, Arg! You detestable little thing! After the white rabbit was done scratching, it quickly ran to a relatively safe distance and looked at the 19th elder with a provocative look. Damn old man, I'm going to fight you. You detestable little thing. I won't let you off. 19th elder was furious. He was already unhappy to begin with, and now he was even more furious. However, Fengde and the others could not help but laugh when they saw the claw marks on the 19th elder's face. Ha ha ha. The 19th elder. Now you've got a big painted face. Fengde said with a gloating expression. Damn it. The 19th elder glared at Fengde, then took out a pill from his storage ring and ate it. After taking the pill, the injury on the 19th elder's face no longer hurt, but the claw mark on his face had been left, and it had turned black. This result made Fengde and the others laugh even more heartily. Even the other elders present could not help but turn their heads and laugh secretly. Are you guys done laughing? The 19th elder roared angrily. However, he was not clear about the situation on his face. He was only angry because he saw them laughing at him. Don't blame us, you're just too funny. 19th elder, I reckon that you'll have to wear this disfigured face in front of people in the future. Fengde kindly reminded him. What did you just say? I dare you to say that again. 19th elder flew into a rage out of humiliation. Damn it, was he cursing him? See for yourself. Fengde took out a mirror and threw it to the 19th elder. 19th elder looked at the mirror doubtfully, and his expression changed. Fuck. What was going on? Who could tell him? He had clearly taken a healing pill, so how could there be a scar? How was he going to face others in the future with the black marks on his face? Now, he finally found the reason for their laughter. However, these people were too unsympathetic. He was already in this state, but these damn guys could still laugh. It really didn't make sense. 19th elder. What are you going to do in the future? Fengde said with a look of sympathy. This is my business. You don't need to care. The 19th elder said in an unpleasant tone. I don't want to care about you. I'm just a little worried about you. But you're a man, after all. You don't need to use your beauty to attract women. So, it's no big deal even if you're disfigured. Fengde consoled. However, his words didn't sound like it to the 19th elder at all. In his opinion, these people were clearly trying to make a fool of him. The 19th elder was furious, but he was afraid that he couldn't win against Fengde, so he could only vent his anger on the little white rabbit. Damn rabbit! It's all your fault. 19th elder glared at the white rabbit that was provoking him and roared fiercely. Hee hee. Old man, I forgot to tell you that I haven't washed my claws for a long time, so there's some mud on your face. It's not easy to get rid of it. The little white rabbit said, unafraid of death. Thanks, you. 19th elder was so angry that he couldn't speak. Fengde and the others looked at the white rabbit with admiration, and the white rabbit's proud tail was about to stand up. I'm laughing smugly, the little white rabbit hummed as it jumped up and down. It was so happy that it was bubbling in its heart. When Fengde and the others heard its song, they couldn't help but think of the Dark Tiger King, who also liked to sing. This was because when they went to see the Dark Tiger King sometimes, they would hear it howling at the moon. However, its song was too unpleasant to listen to, and they didn't even know where the tune had gone. This little rabbit was not much inferior to the Dark Tiger King. The singing of the two beasts was so unpleasant that it was hard to hear, but they both liked to sing. Hee hee. In the future, if the Dark Tiger King had the chance to enter, it might as well sing a duet with this little white rabbit. The effect would definitely be shocking. Fengde and the others couldn't help but wonder. Fuck. Don't sing anymore. The 19th elder was about to go crazy. He had lived for so long, but he had never seen such an infuriating little beast. Did it have a master? This fellow was definitely Leng Ruoxu's subordinate. They were exactly the same. They were all infuriating. If I don't sing just because you don't want me to, wouldn't I lose face? The little white rabbit's face turned serious, and it said unhappily. Was this old man challenging its authority? This was its territory, so it naturally had the final say. Don't you guys agree? Then, the white rabbit turned to look at Fengde and the others with an innocent face. That's right. This is your home. As the master, you naturally have the final say. Fengde and the others tactfully agreed. This little rabbit was one of their own, so of course they couldn't help an outsider. Hee hee. I knew you guys were the best. The little white rabbit said, very satisfied. That's right. Who are we? Fengde and the others were very cooperative. Humph. You're all jackals of the same tribe. When 19th elder heard their conversation, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Old man. Don't be jealous, you're also mine. The little white rabbit said in a double-meaning manner. Damn it. When did I become yours? The 19th elder stomped his feet in anger. You will stay here to accompany me, so of course you are my person. The little white rabbit said matter-of-factly, and then it added, whoever dares to snatch you from me, I'll exterminate him. His words were full of momentum, and Fengde and the others quickly expressed their opinions. Don't worry, we won't fight with you for him. You guys are good. The white rabbit nodded and turned to the second elder and the others. You guys won't fight with me for him, right? I won tea. The second elder and the others said repeatedly. As they spoke, they wiped the cold sweat from their foreheads. They couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. They were now living under someone else's roof, so how could they dare to snatch her away from their master? Moreover, what was the point of robbing the 19th elder? It can't be sold for much. That's good. The white rabbit seemed to be relieved. It looked at the 19th elder with a smile and said, Old man, no one would dare to snatch you from me. You, the 19th elder trembled in anger at the little white rabbit's teasing. Then, his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Yeah. Why did he faint? Woo-woo, old man, wake up. I can't live without you. Seeing this, the little white rabbit began to howl at the top of its lungs. Hearing this, everyone's foreheads were full of black lines. They thought to themselves, this little rabbit is too good at acting, right? It's as if it's real. Chapter 1671, The Shadowless Claw, 2. Little rabbit, be good. Don't be afraid. He's pretending to faint. At this time, Fengde comforted him. Really? The little white rabbit's eyes were misty with tears, and she said with a pitiful expression. I guarantee it's true. He loves to play dead. Fengde promised. When 19th Elder heard this, he was so angry that he almost jumped up from the ground and cursed. He was indeed pretending to faint, but unfortunately, Fengde had exposed him. He was so angry. However, he still lay on the ground without moving, planning to make sure that he was unconscious. When the white rabbit heard Fengde's words, it was also very angry. However, it was angry that this damned old man had deceived its pure feelings. It had thought that this old man had really fainted. Humph. If one dared to deceive it, they would have to pay the corresponding price. It was not that easy to deceive. With that thought, the white rabbit hopped over to 19th Elder's side and sat down on his face. It kept wriggling around. The fluffy fur on its body made 19th Elder's face itch, and he almost broke down. However, he was still cursing in his heart. Fuck. The detestable rabbit had actually pointed its butt at him. He was so disgusted that he almost vomited, but he endured it in order to pretend to faint. Old man. I don't care if you're really fainting or pretending to faint, I'll be here with you. The little white rabbit said affectionately. When Fengde and the others saw this, they couldn't help but sigh. Poor 19th Elder. Was he being stared at by this little rabbit? Let's see what you're going to do now. Moreover, they were all guessing when the 19th Elder would be unable to resist jumping up from the ground. They were also a little curious. Wasn't this little rabbit's butt smelly? The 19th Elder was really patient. Just as Fengde and the others were letting their thoughts run wild, they suddenly heard a pft. Then, the little white rabbit said shyly, I'm sorry. I farted. Ugh. When Fengde and the others heard this, they admired this little rabbit even more. Now, they were even more certain that this rabbit was definitely messing with the 19th Elder. However, they admired their young lady even more. The space manager she made could actually fart. Immediately after, everyone smelled a pungent smell in the air. Immediately, everyone covered their mouths in unison. Originally, many people were skeptical about whether this rabbit could fart, but now that the evidence was conclusive, they had no choice but to believe it. After everyone covered their mouths, they were surprised to see that 19th Elder was still lying on the ground without moving. Suddenly, everyone's opinion of him rose and they admired his determination. They couldn't stand such a strong stench, but 19th Elder still insisted on not getting up. This kind of perseverance was beyond anyone's reach. In fact, what they didn't know was that it wasn't that 19th Elder didn't want to jump up, but that he had already fainted from the farts released by the white rabbit. Even if he thought about it, he wouldn't be able to get up. However, it wasn't like he didn't have any unexpected gains. At the very least, everyone had a higher opinion of him. However, if 19th Elder was clear-headed, he would definitely not want such an unexpected gain. Old man. How can I wake you up? At this moment, everyone heard the white rabbit mumble to itself again. Instantly, black lines appeared on their foreheads. Was this rabbit still thinking about this? However, such a stinky fart couldn't wake the 19th Elder up, so he must have made up his mind to pretend to be unconscious to the end. Fengde. Quickly think of a way for me. The little white rabbit asked for help. Ah. This. Why don't you let out a few more farts? Who knows, maybe he'll wake up. Fengde deliberately thought for a while before he said hesitantly. However, after listening to his idea, the others couldn't help but silently pray for 19th Elder. 19th Elder. You take care. I hope I can still see you alive and kicking, bickering with us. Thanks, this is a bit difficult. I'll brew it. The little white rabbit frowned and said with some difficulty. It had finally made a smelly fart, and it wanted to make a few more, but it didn't know if it would work. Then, the little white rabbit held it in with all her might, until her fluffy little face turned red and her little body trembled. She looked like she was having a hard time. Seeing this, everyone couldn't bear it anymore. This idea seemed to be quite difficult for this little rabbit. After holding it in for a long time, the white rabbit finally let out another smelly fart. Then, it continued to brew. At this time, Fengde and the others ran as far away from them as possible, in case they fainted before the 19th elder woke up. Just like that, the little white bunnies brewed first, then, one by one, they started farting. At this time, the entire gray space was filled with a foul smell, and there was no way to stay. Seeing this scene, everyone covered their mouths and looked at Fengde with a face full of blame. Their eyes were red as if they were saying, "It's all your stupid idea. We're also suffering because of him." However, Fengde felt wronged. How could he be blamed for this? He could only blame the 19th elder for pretending to faint. Moreover, he did not expect this little rabbit to be so persistent and so honest. He had only made a suggestion, and it actually did it. AI. He was speechless. Captain. Could it be that 19th elder had really fainted? Even we can't stand such a stinky fart, how can he? At this moment, Lin Yuan could not help but send a voice transmission to Fengde. It's not impossible. Fengde said as he wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He had been thinking about how to deal with the 19th elder, and had not expected such an outcome. After some thought, Fengde said, "Little rabbit. You rest. The 19th elder might have really fainted." Arg. No way. Then wouldn't I have farted for nothing? Woo woo, the little white rabbit began to cry gloomily, and its tears fell like raindrops, quickly wetting its fur. Don't cry anymore. You'd better think of a way to wake up the 19th elder. Cold sweat dripped from Fengde's forehead as he reminded. What you said makes sense. I must turn my grief and indignation into strength and wake this old man up. The little white rabbit said confidently as it clenched its little paws. Good luck. Fengde encouraged. We will. After the white rabbit finished speaking in all seriousness, it began to jump around on the 19th elder's face. Seeing this, everyone's forehead was filled with black lines. What was this little thing doing? It couldn't possibly think that with its small body, it could wake up the 19th elder by jumping, right? Everyone was dumbfounded. Then, they saw the white rabbit extend its sharp claws. With a flash of silver light, the four-clawed rabbit began to draw the same pattern on the 19th elder's face. Ugh! The crowd wiped the cold sweat from their foreheads with lingering fear. They felt the deepest sympathy for the 19th elder. Poor 19th elder. The previous mark on her face had not disappeared, but this time, a new injury was added. Chapter 1672, The Shadowless Claw, 3. However, the white rabbit's trick was very effective because the 19th elder had already woken up from the pain. When he opened his eyes and saw the hateful rabbit in front of him, as well as its claws that were shining with a cold light, he immediately sat up on the ground. The white rabbit, who was not prepared for this, rolled down his face like a ball. Seeing this, the 19th elder grabbed the white rabbit in his hand and said fiercely, "Damn rabbit. You want to scratch me again, don't you? Old man. I've already finished scratching, and I even woke you up." The little white rabbit saw that the 19th elder was a little forgetful, so she kindly reminded him. When 19th elder heard the white rabbit's words, he suddenly reacted. Yes. Didn't he wake up from the pain? After seeing this damned rabbit, he was so angry that he forgot such an important thing. Thinking of this, he became even angrier and held the white rabbit even tighter. However, he didn't hear the damned rabbit's begging as he had hoped. Not only that, but the white rabbit also seemed to be enjoying it. It looked at him with a smile, its face full of satisfaction. Seeing this, 19th elder was depressed again. What kind of situation was this? Did this damned rabbit not know pain? At the same time, he couldn't help but increase the strength of his hand. The poor little rabbit's head was still exposed, and its small body was completely buried in his palm. 19th Elder. You're too cruel. How could you attack such a cute little animal? Is this something a human can do? Fengde couldn't stand it anymore, so he criticized. Yup. The 19th Elder. You're an adult, how can you bully the weak? Even though this world is ruled by the strong, you can't go too far. Lin Yuan also echoed. 19th Elder. This little thing likes you so much, but not only did you not appreciate it, but you also attacked her. You're really too vicious. The disheveled old man added fuel to the fire. Then, other than the Ning family elders and Qing Xian, everyone else began to criticize the 19th Elder. In fact, Qing Xian also wanted to interject, but considering the friendly relationship between the Qing family and the Ning family, he had to give the 19th Elder some face. However, it felt good to hit him when he was down, but unfortunately, he didn't have the chance. He couldn't help but complain in his heart. Qing Xian was not the only one who had such thoughts. Listening to everyone's criticism, even the elders of the Ning family almost couldn't help but speak out. Moreover, in their opinion, what the 19th Elder had done was indeed not right. Although that little rabbit had angered the 19th Elder, it was still somewhat unacceptable that the 19th Elder had attacked such a little thing and was so serious. Some of the elders who felt that 19th Elder's actions were a little embarrassing even turned their heads away uncomfortably. Their cheeks were slightly hot, all of which were due to shame. Thank you for speaking up for me. However, the deeper the love, the deeper the hate. Beating is affection, scolding is love. This old man cares about me too much, that's why he's so jealous. AI. He's too charming, what can we do? At this time, the little white rabbit, who had been silent for a long time, gave a long speech. Everyone who heard it sighed. This rabbit was too narcissistic. When 19th Elder heard this, his face turned livid with anger, and the veins on his forehead throbbed. At this moment, he wanted to strangle the rabbit to death. However, no matter how hard he tried, the rabbit did not hurt or itch. It even looked at him affectionately. This fact made him so depressed that he almost vomited blood. Old man. You're so good to me. Old man. I know you care about me the most, don't worry. I'm also the best to you. Old man. Let's just stay here and depend on each other in the future. Old man. I will treat you well. The little white rabbit's endless confession was nauseating and nauseating. The hair on everyone's body stood on end as they listened. The 19th Elder was getting angrier and angrier as he listened, and his chest was so tight that he could barely breathe. Soon after, everyone watched as the poor 19th Elder fainted from anger again. This time, he did not even have time to treat the wound on his face. Ugh! How pitiful! The crowd muttered sympathetically to themselves. However, they also felt fortunate that they were not the ones targeted by the rabbit. Otherwise, they would probably be as depressed as 19th Elder. Why did you faint again? The little white rabbit looked depressed and sad. Then, it called out to Fengde, Fengde, he fainted again. As she spoke, tears welled up in her eyes. Ah! That's right. He was excited. He's too happy. Fengde was afraid that the little rabbit would flood the Golden Mountain, so he quickly coaxed her. When everyone heard his words, they all looked at him with contempt, their eyes saying, "You're lying." This was definitely cheating a child. Fengde also replied with his eyes, "Do you have any good ideas? Whoever could coax this rabbit would go. Don't forget, it's the owner of this place." After a tacit exchange of glances, everyone silently agreed. At this moment, the white rabbit's voice rang out again. Really? Did he really faint from happiness? The white rabbit's watery eyes were filled with suspicion. Thanks, of course, why would I lie to you? Why don't you ask the second elder and the others? Fengde smirked and kicked the ball to the second elder and the others. When the second elder and the others heard Feng Die's words, they were so angry that they rolled their eyes. What kind of person was this? How could there be such a detestable person in this world? They had really learned a lot today. However, although they were disdainful of Feng Die's actions, they said after receiving the white rabbit's expectant gaze, "That's right." He fainted because he was too happy. This time, the fact that 19th elder was happy was finally confirmed. The white rabbit also smiled through her tears and solemnly promised, "I'm relieved now. I'll treat him well in the future." Just treat him well. In order to please this little rabbit, the 7th elder also specially urged that sacrificing the 19th elder in exchange for the friendship of this space manager was quite worth it. However, he couldn't understand why 19th elder was always targeted by Beastie. Previously, he had been imprisoned by a few bears as their exclusive property, and now, he had caught the eye of a rabbit. This 19th elder's charm towards beasts was really irresistible. "I will. However, can anyone tell me how to wake him up again? I can't bear to see him lying on the ground like this, he'll catch a cold." The little white rabbit said with a pained expression. Try your shadowless claw. It seems that the effect is not bad. Feng De suggested with an evil smile. Feng De. You're the smartest. The little white rabbit praised with a smile. Of course. Feng De was very proud. Following that, everyone saw the little white rabbit use its ultimate skill, Shadowless Claw. Its 4 little claws flew up and down, and white light danced in the sky. Whoosh! Buzz! Whoosh! The sound of clothes being torn rang out in the gray space. In just a few dozen minutes, the 19th elder's clothes had been torn into strips, and one could vaguely see his body. Moreover, the skin that was exposed was full of claw marks, and blood was seeping out of the wounds. It was a terrible sight. However, even though 19th elder had suffered quite a few injuries, the little white rabbit had no intention of stopping before 19th elder woke up. Instead, it became more and more courageous as it tried to use its shadowless claw. After a long time, 19th elder's body was already a bloody mess, but he was awoken by the pain. Opening his eyes with great difficulty, 19th elder grimaced in pain. This time, he was very clear-headed and knew that the damned rabbit must have done something to him again. Otherwise, his body would not be in so much pain. "Old man. You're finally awake. I was so worried." The little white rabbit said with tears in her eyes. "Damn rabbit. Get lost." The 19th elder opened his mouth to curse, but he was disappointed to find that he couldn't make a sound. What was going on? He wanted to sit up again, but he was in so much pain that he couldn't move. This time, he wanted to cry. "Old man. You've been unconscious for too long, don't speak. Just obediently lie down." Seeing the depressed expression on the 19th elder's face, the white rabbit consoled him. However, the 19th elder was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. 19th elder. You'd better listen to me and lie down. Feng De walked to the 19th elder's side and asked with concern. Get lost. The 19th elder shouted in a hoarse voice. This time, he could finally make a sound, although his voice was very unpleasant. 19th elder. No wonder you're so annoying. I'm just trying to comfort you out of kindness, but you actually told me to get lost. Humph. In the future, don't cry and beg me to help you. Feng De said in a bad mood. After he finished speaking, he turned around and walked away without looking back. Who would beg you? The 19th elder said in disdain. When the second elder and the others heard his words, they could only shake their heads and sigh. The 19th elder really liked to offend people. Old man. Don't be so angry. It's not good for the body. AI. Forget it, it'll take you to a good place to recuperate. The little white rabbit said helplessly when she saw the 19th elder getting angry. Then, with a flash of white light, the white rabbit and the unlucky 19th elder disappeared. Chapter 1673, The Mystery Prize. 1. Everyone stared at the place where the White Rabbit and the 19th Elder had disappeared. They were all very puzzled. Where had the rabbit taken the unlucky 19th Elder to? This time, the 19th Elder, who was so popular with the beasts, had once again become the exclusive property of that rabbit. At this moment, they did not know if they should sympathize with the 19th Elder. After all, to be able to be fancied by the space manager here, it could not help but be considered a kind of opportunity. After the 19th Elder was taken away by the White Rabbit, no one else bickered with Fengde and the others. Therefore, they also calmed down and cultivated. However, they could always hear a miserable scream coming from a certain space. The sound was very similar to the 19th Elder they knew. Every time they heard this voice, everyone's mind couldn't help but wander. They were also very curious about what the 19th Elder was doing at this time. And this had also become their only joy in this trial space. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue was also struggling with the final stage of the trial space. Right now, she had already walked more than half of the journey in the final stage. However, just as she was about to reach the finish line, she failed again. This fact made her extremely depressed. Seeing Leng Ruoxue being transported out of the trial space, the demon smiled and pulled her into his arms. Shua. Don't be too anxious, take it slowly. The demon consoled. He wasn't in a hurry anyway, and he was more than happy to stay here with Shua for a while longer. Leng Ruoxue nodded, but there was still no smile on her beautiful face. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue and the demons suddenly heard a painful howl. Black lines immediately appeared on their foreheads. What was going on? How could someone be screaming so miserably? Furthermore, they had heard it. It seemed like the sound insulation in this space was not very good. With a thought, the White Rabbit appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue. The moment the rabbit saw her, it immediately jumped into her arms and rubbed against her affectionately. Little White. What the hell are you doing? Leng Ruoxue asked, feeling a little speechless. Hee. Master, I'm helping you deal with the 19th Elder. The little White Rabbit said with a fawning expression. Ah. How are you going to deal with him? Leng Ruoxue's curiosity was piqued. Even though she had unintentionally refined this little rabbit, it was still considered her beastie. Hence, it was understandable that it wanted to stand up for her. However, she really could not think of what kind of idea this little rabbit could come up with to deal with 19th Elder. I've been very gentle and used all sorts of cool techniques on him. He's enjoying it now. The little White Rabbit said proudly. However, when Leng Ruoxue heard its words, a few black lines appeared on her forehead. She couldn't help but think to herself, it's not a beastie that I've refined. It's definitely not. In fact, when she first made the space manager look like a little rabbit, she wanted a cute and simple little guy. However, it seemed that she had made a major mistake. This little thing was clearly a black-bellied little devil. Little Bai, we're still young. We must be good children. We can't do bad things. Leng Ruoxue paused for a moment before continuing. Master. I'm a good kid, and I didn't do anything bad. The little White Rabbit said with an aggrieved expression. Then how long do you plan to take care of the 19th Elder? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but ask. Even though she didn't like 19th Elder, that old man was still a member of the Ning family. She had to give her godfather some face. Master. I'm so lonely here, I've taken a fancy to that old man, so I want him to stay here with me, can I? The little White Rabbit raised its head and said with anticipation. Ah. Leng Ruoxue looked at the little White Rabbit's clear eyes and was in a difficult position. How was she supposed to say this? If he agreed to let 19th Elder stay here, he wouldn't be able to explain it to his godfather. He could also say that he didn't agree to let 19th Elder stay here. This little rabbit would be sad again, and now she was really in a dilemma. Thanks, Master. That old man won't be able to get out. He won't be able to pass these 10 levels, at least not in a short period of time. The little white rabbit and Len Ruoxia's minds were connected, so it naturally knew what its master was thinking. Thus, it could not help but remind her. In that case, you can keep him for as long as you can. If he succeeds, you can't force him to stay in there. Len Ruoxia warned. This way, she would have something to say if her godfather asked about 19th Elder. It wasn't that she didn't allow 19th Elder to come out, but 19th Elder didn't succeed in breaking through the barrier, so he could only stay inside. She believed that Godfather would understand. It was Godfather's fault for letting him train these elders. Hee. I knew Master was the best. Hearing Len Ruoxia's words, the little white rabbit was elated. Don't torment the 19th Elder too much. Len Ruoxia reminded. Mmh. Don't worry, Master. I know what I'm doing. The little white rabbit promised. That's good. Len Ruoxia only felt at ease when she heard the little rabbit's promise. Master. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first. That old man is still waiting for me. The little white rabbit said impatiently. Let's go back. Len Ruoxia nodded her head lightly. Following that, the little white rabbit in her arms disappeared. Shwaa. This little fellow is quite considerate. After the white rabbit disappeared, the evildoer said with a look of admiration. He had wanted to beat up the 19th Elder for a long time. Now that this little fellow was here, it saved him a lot of trouble. However, when he heard the 19th Elder's miserable shrieks, it seemed that he had been tortured quite badly. Yup. Len Ruoxia said awkwardly. Her beastie had all taken after her, and even this little thing that she had accidentally created was no exception. Ha. I think the 19th Elder must be regretting it now. Why did he have to come to the second layer domain to test himself? If he hadn't come in, he wouldn't have encountered this kind of thing. The demon said with a happy smile. He's afraid that Godfather will find out and blame him. Moreover, he doesn't believe what I said about him coming to the second level domain to train of his own will. So, all of this is caused by him, he can't blame anyone else. Len Ruoxia said. Based on my understanding of the 19th Elder, Hell definitely put the blame on you. Some people just like to push the blame on others and don't see their own mistakes. So, I'm afraid he hates you even more now. The demon guessed. It doesn't matter. I don't really care. Len Ruoxia said disapprovingly. However, the evildoer was right. At this moment, 19th Elder, who was suffering from inhumane torture in a certain space, hated Len Ruoxia to death even though his heart was bleeding. In a certain space, a small white rabbit was sitting on a man who was covered in wounds and jumping up and down, having a lot of fun. Damn rabbit. Get down now. 19th Elder, who was a little weak, shouted weakly. Chapter 1674, The Mystery Prize, 2, I won tea. The little white rabbit said stubbornly. Then, she sat on the 19th Elder's face, her butt facing his mouth. 19th Elder was so angry that he didn't dare to speak. He even held his breath, afraid that this damned rabbit was farting. Now that he was imprisoned here alone, this damned rabbit definitely had a way to do whatever he wanted to him, and he didn't have any scruples from before. Therefore, he didn't dare to go too far. However, every time this damned rabbit sat on his face happily, he would shut his mouth obediently, not even daring to breathe loudly. And that damned rabbit seemed to know that this was his weakness, so it used this trick to threaten him every time, and it worked every time. He really hated it to death. Old man. How nice it is for us to be here, don't you think? Otherwise, we'll all be lonely old people. The little white rabbit sighed. Good my ass. He was not alone. He had a lot of companions, okay? Even if he didn't, there were plenty of women in the divine realm who wanted to accompany him. How could it be his turn to have a rabbit as his companion? He was trapped in the past because of that damn bubble, so he couldn't do anything to those detestable bears. However, why was he imprisoned by this damned rabbit again? He could not understand why. Ah! Why? 19th elder roared in his heart with grief and indignation. At this moment, he realized that he really needed a piece of tofu. Woo! Let him bang his head on tofu. Unfortunately, no one could hear his inner thoughts and could not help him. Beastie, the only one who could help him and was connected to him telepathically, was hiding in the beastie space for some unknown reason, refusing to come out even if it said it would die. Could it be that he was being deserted by his friends and family? The absent-minded 19th elder began to let his thoughts run wild. A month later, the 19th elder's screams gradually decreased. This made the people who were used to listening to his screams to cultivate a little uncomfortable. Some people even guessed in their hearts that the 19th elder was no longer in this world. AI. Poor 19th elder. He had braved so many storms and waves, but he was actually defeated by a little rabbit. However, the 19th elder's current situation did not affect everyone's enthusiasm for the challenge. Whether it was the elders or Fengde and the others, they were getting more and more courageous. After failing again and again, they continued to challenge the pass. This repeated for another year and the elders finally stood in front of the last pass again. During this period, they bought elixirs from Fengde and the others for the second time. The high price made Qing Xian a little envious. If it were not for the fact that he did not have many elixirs left, he would have taken them out and sold them. Furthermore, Fengde and the others had made a fortune just by selling the pills to the elders. But unfortunately, they didn't receive any money, but a bunch of IOUs. In the dusky space, the second elder looked at Fengde and the others and hesitated. Second elder, what's the matter? Fengde asked considerately. That. Do you still have the pills in your hands? The second elder could not help but ask. Thanks, of course there is. What, second elder still wants to buy it? Hee hee. You can buy as much as you want, don't be shy. Fengde said enthusiastically. These old men were their big customers. Of course, he couldn't neglect it. Although they hadn't received the money yet, these old men wouldn't dare to renege on their debt. Otherwise, he wouldn't sell it to them. There are more. The second elder was surprised. Although he had only bought 2 elixirs from them, they had bought a lot the second time in order to save time. However, he didn't expect Fengde and the others to have more. They even told him that they had as many as he wanted. This was truly unbelievable. There is. We have many alchemists in our family. Therefore, what I have the least lack of are medicinal pills. Fengde smiled and said proudly. As for the fact that their family still produced medicinal herbs, he couldn't tell them. Otherwise, they would be jealous. Since you have it, then sell me some more. The second elder said after some thought. The difficulty of the last stage had increased by nearly 10-fold. This fact made him extremely depressed. Thus, in order to pass the stage as soon as possible, he made up his mind to buy another pill. As long as he could get out, he would rather carry a huge debt. Moreover, this last stage was also a huge challenge for him. No problem. How much do you want? Fengde asked generously. Give me 300 bottles of each. The second elder muttered to himself for a moment before speaking. 300 bottles? Are you sure? Fengde's eyes widened in disbelief. Could it be that this old man wanted to eat pills as if they were his rice? Although he admitted that the pills refined by his young miss were very delicious, and they and the young miss beasts often ate them, but looking at the second elder, he didn't look like someone who would eat pills as if they were food. What, is it not enough? The second elder asked nervously. Enough? How could it not be enough? I've said it before, we can have as many as we want. Fengde said with a smile. After he finished speaking, he handed blank piece of paper and a pen to the second elder. The second elder understood and held the pen. He immediately wrote down an IOU. Oh. This was the third one. He already owed a lot of money. If he couldn't pay it back in this lifetime, he would have to sell himself to Leng Ruoxue. Although he was now Leng Ruoxue's bodyguard, it was a pity that she didn't admit it and he didn't have the self-awareness to do so. However, if he could clear the last obstacle, he would have to think about how to get along with Leng Ruoxue. Furthermore, Leng Ruoxue still had something on him. After the pill and the IOU were settled, both the buyer and the seller were happy. The second elder took the pill and directly entered the last trial space. At this time, the seventh elder who had been watching the whole time also spoke. Feng De, why do you have so many pills? Don't tell me you guys always carry so many pills with you. The seventh elder was very curious. How is that possible? We specially brought a lot of pills here because we're going to the second level domain trial. Moreover, Miss told us to bring these. She said that you might need them, but Miss didn't want to sell them to you for cheap. Feng De said with an evil smile. My family's young miss said that the price inside is different from the outside. If you want to buy pills, you have to follow the price inside. Lin Yuan added from the side. His and Feng De's agreement made many of the elders so angry that they were trembling. The elders were extremely depressed. So Leng Ruoxue was treating them like fat sheep and slaughtering them? Furthermore, they had to be willing to be scammed. Right now, they were very suspicious that Leng Ruoxue wanted to sell them the elixirs at a high price. That was why she had allowed them to come here to clear the levels. Seeing the ugly expressions of the elders, Feng De didn't have to guess what they were thinking. However, he didn't care. Anyway, the price of the pill was this, it was up to them to buy it or not. They wouldn't force them to buy or sell. Chapter 1675, The Mystery Prize, 3, Sell Me More. The seventh elder sighed softly. Although he was also a little angry, he could not help but admire Leng Ruoxue's foresight. Furthermore, they could not blame her for buying the pills at such a high price. After all, when they were outside, Leng Ruoxue had asked them and they had found it too expensive to buy too little. However, they were in great need of the pills after entering this place, so they could only pay a high price. As the saying goes, when there are too many debts, there is no need to worry. He was not the only one who owed debts. There were so many elders accompanying him, so he really was not afraid. How many do you want, seventh elder? Feng De said in a friendly manner. He had a good impression of the seventh elder, so his attitude towards him was slightly better. The same as second elder. The seventh elder said after some thought. In fact, he could understand the second elder's desire to quickly succeed in passing the trial. How could he not do the same? All right. Feng De also took out a pen and paper and handed them to the seventh elder. After the seventh elder wrote the IOU, Feng De gave him the elixir. Seeing this, the other elders also hesitated whether they should buy more pills. The ones they had on hand were really not enough. After thinking for a while, another elder spoke up and said that he wanted to buy more pills. After Feng De heard that, his face bloomed with a smile. Then, he said very considerately, "Don't worry, everyone. One by one, everyone has a share." Seeing the proud expression on Feng De's face, the elders were so angry that their teeth itched. However, they were helpless. Who asked him to have something they urgently needed? He had no choice but to buy. After serving the elders, Feng De and the others smiled at the elders present. Elders. Now you are our big customers. In the future, if there are any good pills, we will definitely take care of you first. Don't worry. The reaction of the elders present wasn't too strong toward Feng De's words. Some of the elders couldn't help but think to themselves, it would be a wonder if they'll still buy your pills in the future. After being slaughtered this time, could it be that they were addicted to being slaughtered? They weren't really fools, they just had no choice. All right. You guys can rest. We're going to challenge the levels. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, Feng De did not care. After he finished speaking, he took the lead and walked into the trial space, followed by Lin Yuan and the others. At this moment, there were almost everyone in the second layer domain trying to break through. All of them were using their own methods to struggle through the final trial. Every step required great perseverance, and the increasing pressure almost made it hard for the people in the space to breathe. Among these people, Leng Ruoxue was the one closest to the finish line. However, the closer she got to the finish line, the greater the pressure she had to bear. The lightning that was wreaking havoc on her body caused her to be in unbearable pain. If it was not for her strong willpower, she would have been transported out by now. Gritting her teeth and enduring the pain, she slowly advanced step by step. When she was only a dozen steps away from the finish line, a bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket shot straight towards her. Leng Ruoxue saw this and quickly dodged. However, the lightning still brushed past her, leaving another wound on her body. Blood quickly flowed out from the wound caused by the lightning. She hurriedly consumed an elixir and continued on her way. 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. Every step was difficult to take, and Leng Ruoxue had to be on high alert, carefully observing the lightning attacks around her. After a long time, Leng Ruoxue had finally reached the end. Even though it was only a short 10 steps, she felt as though she had walked for a few years. As soon as they reached the finish line, the white rabbit immediately appeared. Hee hee. Congratulations to Master for being the first to pass the trial. The little white rabbit said happily. Thank you. How are the others? Leng Ruoxue nodded before asking with concern. They are still working hard. However, that second elder has a good chance. This time, that old man has made up his mind. The little white rabbit said with a serious expression. The old man had learned his lesson. Every time he walked, he would immediately take 2 pills to replenish his divine power and physical strength, and heal his injured body. Although this method was a bit stupid, it was very effective. At least every time he faced the fierce lightning, his body was in its best condition. Not only that, but he also seemed to have figured out the pattern of the lightning attacks. Therefore, this time, it was much easier than the countless times he had passed the levels before. Thanks, hee hee. The second elder's willpower has always been above the other elders. Let me see his trial space. Leng Ruoxue instructed with a smile. All right. The little white rabbit replied. Then, with a wave of its paw, a light screen appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue. The light screen displayed the second elder's every move in the trial space. The second elder was currently in the center of the ultimate trial space, very close to the ball of lightning. As a result, he was extremely careful with every step he took, afraid that he would be struck by the lightning from the ball of lightning if he was careless. If that happened, all his attacks would be for naught. Moreover, he had a strong intuition that he would definitely succeed this time. It took him about 5 minutes to move each step with great difficulty, and with the pressure of the space, his legs felt as heavy as lead. The lightning that came out of the lightning ball did not come out all the time. He had been carefully observing it. The lightning came out once every 10 minutes, which meant that for every 2 steps he took, there would be dozens of lightning bolts flying to his side to attack him. The resistance of the space made it impossible for him to dodge quickly, so he was injured every time. The first thing he did after being injured was to immediately take a healing pill. In addition, he also had to be careful of other lightning. Every time the lightning emerged from the ball of lightning, it would stay in the trial space for a while, from as short as 2 to 3 minutes, to as long as it would disappear on its own when the next lightning appeared. Thus, everything depended on one's luck. If one was lucky, they might be able to stay in the ultimate trial space for a longer time, but if they were unlucky, they would find it difficult to move even an inch. However, the second elder's luck today was obviously not bad. Otherwise, he would not have been able to walk so far. The second elder knew that this was his best chance, so he did not plan to let it go. Staring at the ball of lightning in the trial space, the second elder gritted his teeth and walked forward in one breath. After a long time, the second elder, who was covered in wounds, finally saw a glimmer of hope. He was only a few dozen steps away from the finish line. This was the closest he had ever been. Before he was punished, he couldn't even make it this far. It seemed like the potential of humans was indeed limitless. The second elder's mood was unusually happy. He clenched the 2 pills in his hand and moved forward excitedly. Seeing that he was about to reach the finish line, he began to get excited. Just hold on for a little longer. As long as he held on for a little longer, he would be able to complete this round. Therefore, he absolutely could not fail, and even more so, he could not fall. Even if he had to crawl to the end. Suddenly, a tiny lightning bolt struck him from behind. Immediately, a mouthful of blood spurted out of the second elder's mouth. He knew that he had been careless because he was about to reach the finish line, so he relaxed a little. He quickly swallowed a healing elixir and thought, that was close. He had almost died. If the lightning had been a little thicker, he would have had to start all over again. With the previous experience, the second elder became more and more careful. He didn't want to fail in a small ditch after braving through the storm. If that happened, he would die of depression. Fortunately, the last dozen steps were calm, so he reached the end in one go. Just as he reached the finish line, the white rabbit appeared in front of him. However, it was not as warm to second elder as it was to Lenruashue. Instead, it spoke in a routine manner, "Old man. Congratulations on your success. However, you have to thank my master for your success. If it wasn't for her powerful pills, you wouldn't have been able to pass through this lightning domain." The little white rabbit's words made second elder a little depressed. Although he was very clear that Lenruakshu's pills played a huge role in his success in clearing the round, those pills were naturally his since he had spent a huge sum of money to buy them. Why did this little rabbit seem like she was here to claim credit? Furthermore, after hearing what the little rabbit said, he felt that it would be unreasonable if he did not thank Lenruashue, even if he had bought those pills at a high price. "I know." The second elder nodded helplessly. He had to admit that Lenruakshu's healing and god power replenishing pills were the most effective he had ever taken. "Then you have to accept my master's favor," the little white rabbit said, a little insatiable. "Ah. I've already spent money on those pills." The second elder could not help but remind him. "I know. However, if Fengde and the others refuse to sell it to you, will you be able to pass these 10 rounds? The little white rabbit said matter-of-factly, her beautiful ruby-like eyes looking at the second elder with some disdain. She thought to herself, this old man is too unrefined. Not only does he not know how to repay a favor, but he also has the tendency to kill the donkey when the millstone is done. "You're right. I should really thank them." The second elder strongly suppressed the depression in his heart and echoed. "Old man. You're still on the right track, hee. I've decided to give you a big mystery prize, I wonder if you want it." The little white rabbit said mysteriously. Chapter 1676, You're Sitting on Me, Old Man, 1, What Mystery Prize? Although the second elder had a curious look on his face, he was afraid that this little thing would scheme against him. Therefore, he did not dare to say that he wanted it. Oh. It was better to clarify things first so as not to be deceived. Who asked him to always be tricked in front of Lenruashue and her subordinates? Sob. He was scared. "Old man, you just have to tell me if I want it or not. As for what mystery prize it is, hee. You'll know when the time comes, but you have to keep it a secret." The little white rabbit said in a non-negotiable tone. "But you won't tell me what the grand prize is, so how can I say I want it?" The second elder's words were very reserved, and the meaning between the lines was also very obvious. That was, if you don't tell me what it is, I don't dare to take it. If I told you, would it still be called the mystery prize? It's because it's mysterious that I can only give it to you after you say you want it. The little white rabbit smiled evilly and refused to give in. "Forget it, I'm afraid I can't afford it," the second elder said fearfully. He was afraid that he would be deceived. "Old man, I didn't expect you to be so timid. I've really misjudged you. Ai. Don't you regret it? This mystery prize is very beneficial for cultivation. The white rabbit tried to tempt him with a disappointed look. "I'm not a coward." Although he knew that the other party was goading him, he still had to clear his name. However, he was curious about this thing that was very beneficial to cultivation. "You're quite bold. You don't even dare to accept the mystery prize that I'm going to give you." The white rabbit's cute little face was full of contempt, and its beautiful ruby eyes flickered with ridicule. "You won't tell me what the mystery prize is? No one else would dare to take it." The second elder couldn't help but defend himself. "Old man, don't you know what the word mysterious means? Since it's called a mystery prize, how can it be revealed in advance? I'll only tell you if you want it. Otherwise, it'll lose its meaning of mystery." The little white rabbit began to lay out facts and reason with him. The second elder was at a loss for words. He couldn't deny that the little rabbit's words made sense, but his past experience told him that he couldn't rashly decide if he wanted the mystery prize or not. Otherwise, he might regret it. Seeing the second elder's hesitation, the white rabbit's heart was filled with hatred. It couldn't help but curse in its heart. "This old man is really too open. Can't he be more straightforward? He really didn't look like a man." When the second elder saw the disdainful and dissatisfied expression on the white rabbit's face, he felt a little depressed. However, if he knew that he was not a man in the rabbit's heart, he would probably feel even more depressed. However, as depressed as he was, he did not dare to say that he wanted it before he figured out what the mystery prize was. "Old man, there won't be such a shop after this village," the little white rabbit reminded him impatiently. But the second elder opened his mouth, but he couldn't say the word want. "I'll ask you one last time, do you want it or not?" The little white rabbit made her final announcement. "I don't think I'll need it," the second elder spoke after some thought. His words, unsurprisingly, caused the white rabbit to look down on him even more. "Second elder, you didn't want this. I wanted to take care of you, but you didn't appreciate it. You will regret this." The little white rabbit roared in anger. It was so angry that all its fur stood on end. A faint pink color appeared on its white body. It was obviously angry. "Ah!" The second elder couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat off his forehead. He thought to himself, this little thing's temper is really big enough. It's so angry over such a small matter. But fortunately, I've finally passed these 10 levels. In the future, I don't have to look at this rabbit's face. Thanks, You can go to hell," the angry white rabbit said fiercely. Then, a white lightning bolt flew towards the second elder, and the second elder was kicked into a door that had appeared out of nowhere by its shadowless claw. This time, the white rabbit felt great. "Damn old man, I wanted to give you some benefits, but you didn't want it. Now you have fun." It couldn't help but think in its heart. In fact, it really wanted to give the second elder some benefits, but the second elder had measured the heart of a gentleman with his own mean measure and refused to believe it at all. This fact made it quite angry, so it kicked the second elder to another place without any restraint. As for what kind of place it was, he would let the second elder slowly experience it. The white rabbit chuckled evilly and disappeared from the trial space. Immediately after, it reported the news of the second elder successfully passing the 10th level to everyone. Whether they were resting in the dusky space or in the middle of passing the level, everyone knew about this news. Immediately, everyone's mood became excited, and their enthusiasm for passing the level also increased. When the white rabbit returned to its control space, it also told the news to the 19th elder, who was lying on the ground motionless. When the 19th elder heard this news, he only blinked twice but did not speak. "Old man, do you want to continue?" the little white rabbit asked with a smile. However, the 19th elder still ignored it. "Old man, I'm very sincere, I've decided to let you continue to challenge the levels," the little white rabbit said seriously. "You're that kind?" The 19th elder was finally willing to speak, but he was very suspicious of the little rabbit's character. "Yes. "I'm the kindest and most adorable little rabbit," the little white rabbit said arrogantly. However, its overly narcissistic words caused the 19th elder to look down on it. "This damn rabbit is kind. If it was kind, then there would be no evil people in the world." Moreover, he was afraid that he would never forget the torture that this damned rabbit had brought to him during this period of time. Whether it was physical or mental, it was unforgettable. Compared to this rabbit, the humiliation he had suffered at the hands of the bears seemed to be a small house seeing a big house. "What's wrong? You don't believe me? Don't tell me I'm not good enough to you." Seeing the look of disdain on the 19th elder's face, the little white rabbit said with an aggrieved expression. "Good my ass." 19th elder cursed in his heart. If he wasn't under rabbit's control, he would have the urge to kill someone. "Don't be like this. No matter how I treat you, it's because I like you. To prove that I'm true to you, I can only use such a strong way to express my love for you," the little white rabbit muttered to herself. Then, she sat down on the 19th elder's face. The white rabbit's bad taste made the 19th elder extremely angry. Fuck. Are there no chairs here? Why did she always have to sit on his face and even use her butt to face his mouth? It was really too despicable. Chapter 1677, You're Sitting on Me, Old Man, 2. Although 19th elder really wanted to get this damn rabbit off his face, he knew that it would be useless even if he did. This rabbit was very persistent. Even if he got it off his face, it would still jump at his face regardless of the consequences. In his current physical condition, he could not do anything to this damn rabbit. "Old man. Do you want to continue challenging the levels or not? Say something." The little white rabbit asked again when she saw that 19th elder did not respond for a long time. "What nonsense. You're sitting on my face, what do you want me to say?" 19th elder was worried. In this situation, if he really opened his mouth to speak, what if this damn rabbit was farting or something? He would not want to live anymore. Therefore, for the sake of his life, he would rather keep his mouth shut and hold his breath than talk nonsense with it. "Old man, the second elder has successfully passed the trial. Do you want to know where he is now?" the little white rabbit asked again. The 19th elder's eyes turned. He obviously wanted to know, but he would not walk into a trap. "You don't want to know?" Seeing that 19th elder was still silent, the little white rabbit asked in disbelief. The expression on her face seemed to be saying, "You're really disloyal. AI. Since you don't want to know, then forget it. You should continue to break through. When you can't pass the last level, I'll have even more reason to let you stay here with me, hee hee," the little white rabbit said smugly. However, its words infuriated the 19th elder. Fuck. No wonder he was allowed to continue. It turned out that he was trying to find an excuse to stay here. "Old man. I'll send you there." After the white rabbit finished speaking, it jumped down from 19th elder's face. Then, it used its shadowless claw and kicked 19th elder into the door of the trial space. Hee hee. Today, he had kicked 2 people in a row, and they were even the so-called experts of the divine realm. It was really satisfying. The little white rabbit was very proud of itself. Then, with a flash of white light, it appeared in Lengruoxu's arms. "Master. I miss you so much," the little white rabbit said enthusiastically. "What bad things have you done this time?" Lengruoxue, who was waiting in the safe space for the monster to challenge the levels, asked suspiciously when she saw the enthusiasm of the little rabbit in front of her. "Master. I'm so well-behaved and cute, how could I do bad things?" the little white rabbit said, feeling wronged. "Such a cute and obedient little rabbit, have you given the thing I asked you to give to second elder?" Lengruoxue asked with a faint smile. As long as she wanted to know, everything in the illusory sky could not be hidden from her. However, with this little thing here, she could not be bothered to waste her time. "I wanted to give it to him, but he didn't dare to take it," the little white rabbit said with its head lowered. "You don't dare to take it?" How is this possible? Len Ruoxue couldn't understand. The thing she had asked the little rabbit to give second elder wasn't anything scary, but that old man actually didn't dare to take it. This was really too inconceivable. That old man was too cautious. He doubted my character and thought that I was trying to trick him. So, he hesitated for a long time and didn't dare to say that he wanted it. The little white rabbit said angrily. As long as it thought of this, its heart would be filled with anger, and it was still angry. This is somewhat similar to the personality of those elders. Len Ruoxue smiled. Master. In my opinion, that old man clearly doesn't know what's good for him. People can't be too kind, otherwise, people will suspect that they have bad intentions. I'm the best example, Master. We have to remember this lesson. The little white rabbit sighed with emotion. Its sighing words made Len Ruoxue laugh. She helplessly stroked the white rabbit's fur and laughed, "You little thing, you've only been born for a short time, but you actually know so much. I really don't know who you learned it from." Master. I'm smart. Self-taught. The little white rabbit began to show off. Thanks, alright. Self-taught little rabbit, everything here will be handed over to you from now on. Also, keep a close eye on those who are in the trial and don't let anything happen to them. Len Ruoxue smiled as she instructed. Yes. Master. I promise to complete the mission. The white rabbit raised a paw and made a vow. Then, it couldn't help but ask, Master is going out? Len Ruoxue nodded. They would be out once the demon had completed the last stage. Master. I'll miss you. The little white rabbit had a look of reluctance on her face. You fool. I won't be too far away from you, so you can just send me a voice transmission if you need me. Len Ruoxue chuckled. She had not expected this little rabbit to be so clingy. Now, it looked like an innocent and cute little beast. Yes, yes. The little white rabbit nodded its head vigorously and buried its head into Len Ruoxue's arms. It was only when the demon came out that it had no choice but to leave its master's warm embrace. Even though it was a little regretful, it was still very afraid of that man. The little rabbit left reluctantly. However, it did not return to its control room directly. Instead, it ran back to the gray space. At this time, there were only Feng De and the others in that space. The elders of the Ning family had all gone to break through the barrier. When Feng De and the others saw the little rabbit that suddenly appeared, they all greeted it very enthusiastically. Little rabbit, how come you have time to come today? Everyone present was very curious. Wasn't this little rabbit always with the 19th elder? Why did he come to see them today? I'm bored again. The little white rabbit lowered its eyelids and sighed. Ah. With the 19th elder accompanying you, how can you still be bored? Feng De's face was full of disbelief. This little guy had a toy. He must be having a lot of fun playing with it. He actually said that he was bored. This was really abnormal. That old man went to challenge the levels. I had to give him a reason to stay behind, so I could only bear the pain and let him go. As the white rabbit spoke, it was as if it was going to flood the Golden Mountain again. Seeing this, Feng De quickly changed the topic. Where's the second elder? He's already gone out. Feng De asked with an envious look. No, I didn't. He's gone to another place. The little white rabbit said mysteriously. Another place? Where is it? Feng De and the others were shocked. It was not easy for him to pass the last level, but he still could not leave this place. The second elder was really too miserable. Hee hee. You'll know when the time comes, because after you've successfully passed the trial, I'll also send you there. The little white rabbit said with a smile. Could it be the three-layered domain of the illusory sky? Feng De guessed. The Buddha said, can't say. The little white rabbit insisted on not revealing it, but its words made Feng De and the others a little depressed. It turned out that even if they passed the last level, they could not get out. Don't be afraid. You're on the same side, I'll protect you. The little white rabbit patted its chest and promised. Chapter 1678, You're sitting on me, old man. 3, Then I'll have to thank Big Brother Xiaotu. Fengde and the others were very cooperative. No big deal. Hee hee. The little white rabbit was a little unsteady from being held and began to show off again. At this time, the Ning family elders who had gone to challenge the trial were all transported out of the trial space. They were not as lucky as the second elder, so they still could not pass the last round. However, when they saw the little white rabbit, they all looked at it hesitantly. They wanted to ask but were a little embarrassed to ask. The second elder did not return after he had passed the test. They reckoned that the news of the second elder's success had spread to the illusory sky. This made them somewhat depressed. They had originally thought that the second elder would pass on some of his experiences after he had passed the test, so as to increase their chances of success. However, the second elder did not return. The only person who knew how the second elder had passed the test was this rabbit, but they were not sure if the rabbit would tell them about this. That was why he was a little hesitant. That little rabbit. We want to ask you something. Finally, the seventh elder mustered up the courage to speak. What is it? You're welcome, speak. I promise to tell you everything I know, but I can't help you if I don't know anything. The little white rabbit replied readily. We want to ask about the second elder. How did he pass the last stage? After thinking for a while, the seventh elder asked in one go. This. I can tell you the truth, he completely relies on medicinal pills. However, the method he uses may not be suitable for you, so if you really want to imitate it, you may not necessarily succeed. But it's not like I don't have any confidence at all. The little white rabbit did not speak too confidently. In fact, it was thinking that it did not matter if it told them the second elder's method to clear the stage. This way, they could buy more pills. As for whether they would have the same good luck as the second elder, that was not for it to decide. After it finished speaking, the white rabbit even secretly winked at Fengde and the others, and showed a sly smile. Fengde and the others immediately understood and gave it a look of appreciation without batting an eyelid. Everyone understood what it meant. After the seventh elder and the others heard the white rabbit's words, they pondered for a moment because they didn't know whether they should believe this little rabbit or not. This was mainly because no one had expected that it would actually attribute the credit of the second elder's success to the elixir. In this case, wouldn't they have to continue to buy elixir from Fengde and the others? They had already signed so many IOUs that they were almost unable to pay it back. I've already told you the method that the old man used to pass the trial. As for whether you believe it or not, that's not for me to decide. The little white rabbit saw the expressions on the faces of the elders and knew what was going on. However, it was still a little angry. These damn old men, they didn't want to believe it even after asking. This was too much. It seemed that one could not be too kind. Good intentions don't get rewarded. After saying that, the little white rabbit disappeared on the spot in a huff. After it left, the elders suddenly woke up. It seemed that their reaction had angered the rabbit. AI. What was this good? The rabbit wouldn't make things difficult for them, would it? At this moment, they were a little regretful. At this moment, Fengde spoke with a smile. Elders, due to the fact that there aren't many pills left, we've decided to increase the price after some discussion. Fengde said. What? Raise the price? All the elders were dumbfounded. Why did these people want to raise the price of medicinal pills when that little rabbit had just said that the second elder's success in clearing the stage was mainly dependent on medicinal pills? This was clearly the behavior of a profiteer. This was the starting price. How much do you want to raise the price of the pills? The seventh elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and asked speechlessly. He thought to himself, that was really close. Fortunately, he had bought a lot last time. Otherwise, he would have been ripped off again. Not expensive. It's only 100 top-grade crystals per bottle. Feng De laughed. Fuck. It had doubled, and that was not expensive. When the elders heard this price, their faces turned pale with anger. They kept cursing in their hearts, unscrupulous merchant. Black-hearted businessman. A bad guy who took advantage of others. Do you guys want to buy it? Feng De ignored the ugly expressions of the elders and asked with a faint smile. We don't have any more money. The seventh elder spoke on behalf of the other elders. You guys didn't have any money before. Feng De reminded. We can't afford to write an IOU. The seventh elder sighed. Then there's no other way. You can only stay here and accompany the little rabbit. I believe that with so many people accompanying it, it will be very happy. Feng De said helplessly. If they didn't want to buy it, they couldn't force it. But if you don't buy it now, the price will increase in the future. Feng De added after some thought. Ah. This time, the elders were completely depressed. So this was forcing them to buy. How detestable. He actually threatened them with a price increase. Thanks, things are precious when they are rare. The price of goods will always rise due to the scarcity of goods. Seeing the expressions of the elders, Feng De said without blushing or panting. Feng De. Didn't you say that we're your big customers? Since he's a big customer, there should be a discount or something, right? The seventh elder said with a kind smile. There should be a discount. If each of you can buy more than 200 bottles, I'll make the decision to give you an extra bottle. Feng De put on a troubled look. 200 bottles for one extra bottle, what was the difference between that and not giving anything? An elder couldn't help but think to himself. However, he didn't dare to say this out loud. Otherwise, if he offended Feng De and the others, he would raise the price again. It wouldn't be worth it. Feng De's words made all the elders feel conflicted until Feng De became a little impatient. He couldn't help but urge, it's a limited time purchase. Buy for 200, get one free bottle. There are limited free gifts, first come, first served. Feng De. There's a limit to the number of gifts? After hearing Feng De's shout, the seventh elder asked in disbelief, fuck. He even wanted to curse. These people were really good at doing business. They could even think of such a bad move. No wonder they were so good at making money. Sigh. Why didn't their Ning family have someone who was so good at making money? It was undeniable that he was very jealous of Leng Ruoxue at this moment. Of course I do. First come, first served. 200 for one bottle, and so on. Feng De said loudly. Feng De. Couldn't the price of the pills be cheaper? If it's the same as before, well, buy more. The seventh elder discussed with him. Seventh elder, we also need to eat. Besides, didn't I already give you guys a discount? Don't be too greedy. Feng De said with dissatisfaction. AI. The seventh elder knew that the deal was off. He sighed and didn't say anything else. He had enough pills in his hands anyway. As for whether the other elders would buy it or not, it wasn't up to him. The seventh elder didn't say anything, and no elder said anything. Feng De saw this and said, you guys didn't buy it. Don't regret it. After he finished speaking, Feng De sat back in his seat without a care and closed his eyes to regulate his breathing. After the white rabbit returned to its control room, it turned the screen to where the second elder was. At this moment, the second elder was in an unfamiliar space. This space had beautiful scenery, birds chirping, flowers blooming, and fresh air. It was simply a paradise. The second elder couldn't believe his eyes after seeing the scenery. How could there be such a beautiful place in the world? Not far away from him, there was a clear stream with a few small fish swimming around happily. When they saw someone approaching, they did not panic. They raised their small heads in the water to look at the second elder, then sank back into the stream. The second elder was surprised. He had never seen such a spiritual fish. However, what was with the disdain in the fish's eyes? Were the fish in the stream looking down on him? This fact hit him hard. Fuck. He was a reverent god after all. Now, he had actually fallen to the point of being despised by the fish. How could he bear this? After remorseful thoughts, the second elder was puzzled about this place. Where was this place? Was he also under the jurisdiction of that little rabbit? Just as he was thinking about this, the white rabbit's voice suddenly rang out in the space, "Old man. This place is not bad, right? Hee hee. You can have fun here." After saying that, the white rabbit's signature wretched laughter rang in the second elder's ears again. Hee hee. Hee hee. Roar. What is this place? The second elder suppressed his anger and asked. This rabbit had brought him here, so it was definitely up to no good. Furthermore, after interacting with Len Ruoxiue and the others for a long time, his sense of crisis had grown stronger. Hence, his intuition told him that this place was not as simple as it seemed. Do you want to know? Hee hee. I'm not telling you. The little white rabbit said angrily. The second elder was so angry that he couldn't speak. The anger in his heart was stuck in his chest, making him unable to vent it. Old man, you can explore slowly. After the white rabbit finished speaking, its voice disappeared. Damn it. Don't go. Come back here. Seeing this, the second elder hurriedly shouted to stop the rabbit, but he did not receive any response. The depressed second elder sat down on a rock not far away. Suddenly, a rough voice rang in his ear, "Old man. You're sitting on me." Chapter 1679, Old Man, Have You Seen Enough? 1. The second elder was shocked when he heard the voice. Who was speaking? It wasn't that he was timid, but his intuition told him that this place was very strange, so he had to be careful. In addition, he only heard sounds but didn't see anyone, which made him vigilant. Old man. You're sitting on me. Your butt is so stinky. Seeing that the second elder didn't react at all, the owner of the voice couldn't help but ask. Who's talking? The second elder asked the question in his heart, and at the same time, he was on full alert. Old man. Are you an idiot? I already said you're sitting on me, and you still ask who's talking. The owner of the voice roared in anger, and his body was trembling with anger. He didn't expect that the first person to enter this place was actually a low IQ idiot. AI. He was really disappointed. Ugh. Feeling the trembling under his butt, the second elder subconsciously lowered his head. Then, he suddenly jumped up in shock. He looked at the big rock he had been sitting on in disbelief and said in a half-believing and half-doubting tone, "Are you the one talking?" Nonsense. Who else could it be if not me? At this moment, the large rock spoke again. A face with all facial features could be seen on the rock, and it was filled with dissatisfaction. It's really you. The second elder was extremely surprised. As a cultivator, he naturally knew that any living creature in the natural world, whether it was a human or a beast, a flower, a tree, a mountain rock, or anything else, could cultivate as long as they had spirituality. However, for these large rocks with weak vitality, it was extremely difficult to cultivate spirituality and even transform into a human form. However, he did not expect to see a large rock with a spirit in this strange place. This was really too surprising. Didn't I tell you? Don't tell me that not only do you have low IQ, but you also have problems with your hearing? Big Rock asked with a look of disdain. The second elder couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. He felt even more depressed in his heart. Why did everything here look down on him? He was a reverent god after all, so how could he not be in their eyes? He didn't dare to ask them to respect him, but it was still okay for them to show him some respect, right? What's with the, If you say, I'll throw you into the river to feed the fish. Big Rock said unhappily. Feed the fish in the river. The second elder looked gloomily at the small stream that was not even up to his calf. He thought to himself, Could this stone be referring to this small stream when it said in the river? Although the fish there were also looking down on him, could a fish smaller than his palm eat him? He would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. What's wrong? You don't believe me? Big Rock, who could tell what the second elder was thinking, asked indifferently. That. The river you were talking about, do you mean that stream? The second elder asked curiously. Of course. Don't look down on the fish there, you'll regret it if you underestimate them. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try. Big Rock gloated, as if he had already seen second elder's misfortune. The second elder was very anxious after hearing Big Rock's words. However, whether he believed it or not, he couldn't give it a try. Old man. I knew you were a coward. Seeing that the second elder had stopped talking, the Big Rock began to provoke him again. I know if I have the guts or not. I don't need to rely on this kind of thing to prove it. The second elder was speechless. He was extremely depressed in his heart. Why did everyone say that he was a coward? That rabbit was like this, and now this stone was also like this. However, just as he finished speaking, another unfamiliar voice was heard. Humph. If he didn't dare, he didn't dare. Don't find excuses for yourself. It was the same disdainful tone. Thanks. After the second elder heard this, he raised his eyes and looked around for the owner of the voice, especially those stones and trees. However, after searching one round, he found nothing. Old man, what are you looking for? The rock in front of the second elder asked curiously. I'm looking for the person who said that. The second elder replied honestly. Idiot. The person who spoke is in the river. Big Rock threw him a disdainful look. The river? The second elder looked at the river in the big stone's eyes, and the stream in his eyes. He saw a pure white fish the size of a palm, half standing on the shore with its fins. Its small mouth was still opening and closing, and its watery black eyes were looking at him mockingly. The second elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, his heart filled with mixed feelings. He could see that all the creatures here were at odds with him, and they all looked down on him. He couldn't understand why. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have offended these guys, right? He wasn't like the 19th elder who made enemies everywhere, so he couldn't figure out why no matter how hard he thought. Old man. Are you done looking? If you look at me like this again, I'm going to charge you. The moment the fish opened its mouth, it mentioned money, causing the second elder's mood to instantly turn sour, from depression to irritation. Frustration. He was quite frustrated, so frustrated that he wanted to bite someone. However, in this strange place, he had to endure it no matter how annoyed he was. You're just a fish, what's the use of money? The second elder's face was red as he asked speechlessly. This was not normal. Everything here was abnormal. Why is it useless? With money, you can buy a lot of good food. The fish said with a look of yearning. What can you eat? The second elder couldn't help but ask. In his opinion, fish could only eat fish food and aquatic grass, and these didn't need to be paid at all. I can eat anything. Besides, can't I save up some money? The fish said as if it was looking at an idiot. Private money? The second elder was dumbfounded when he heard the fish's words. This was the first time he had heard that a fish wanted to save up money. Did it have a place to spend it? Old man. You've been looking at me for so long, quickly pay. Seeing that the second elder was still staring at it, Xiaoyu's lips curled into a smirk. Ah! Only then did the second elder react. Because he had been too shocked, his eyes had never left the fish. Now, it was asking him for money. What the hell is this? What's with the, If you do, I'll throw you into the river as food. Yu said in an unpleasant tone. Hearing the familiar words and the same tone, the second elder was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. As expected of a family, they all spoke in the same tone. Hee hee. Old man. You've sat on me for so long just now, you have to pay me. Otherwise, I'll file a complaint against you. At this moment, the big rock spoke again. The second elder was furious when he saw that they were all demanding a debt from him. I've sat on you for a while, and you want money? Now that he was standing on this piece of land, did he have to pay for it? He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Chapter 1680, Old Man, have you seen enough? 2, Old Man, you have to pay me. Another unfamiliar voice rang out. The second elder turned pale with fright. Who's talking now? Old Man. It's me. The ground you're stepping on. The owner of the voice was afraid that the second elder would look around again, so he simply pointed out his identity. You know what I'm thinking. The second elder stammered as he spoke. What kind of monsters were there? Just as he was thinking this, he immediately stopped. He didn't dare to continue thinking, in case someone peeked at his thoughts. I am the master of this space. Any living creature that stays on my body, no matter what, can't hide their thoughts from me. Black Earth said with a proud expression. The second elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead when he heard the Earth God's words. He didn't dare to have any thoughts in his heart. Old Man, pay us the money you owe us first. The Earth God said with a smile. I don't have any money on me right now. The second elder's face was bitter as he spoke with some difficulty. His money had all been used to buy medicinal pills, and he was in a huge debt. It doesn't matter. You can also write us an IOU. The Earth said disapprovingly. Big Rock and the fish didn't doubt its words at all. Obviously, the Earth in this space was their boss. An IOU. Another IOU. This was really infuriating. Why did they all know this move? His hands were a little weak from writing IOUs, and now he had to write IOUs for these elves. Damn it, what was this? I don't have a pen and paper. The second elder said after a long while. It doesn't matter, we have it. The Earth God chuckled. Then, a white light flashed before the second elder's eyes, and a piece of paper and a pen appeared in front of him. The second elder wanted to cry but had no tears. He held the pen and paper and did not move. Stinky old man. What are you thinking? The fish was getting impatient as it roared. I wonder how much I should pay you. The second elder asked in a low voice. He had no choice but to lower his head. Although he really wanted to write down a number, he was afraid that these guys would not be satisfied. He didn't dare to offend these local tyrants. I want 100 pieces of top-grade crystal stones. Big Rock was the first to speak. What? I just sat on you and you want to charge 100 top-grade crystals? Are you trying to rob me? The second elder was left speechless. These guys were clearly taking advantage of him. Although he had no choice but to compromise, he was not willing to be a spendthrift. I'm not an ordinary big rock, so it's naturally expensive for you to sit on me. Not only that, if you want to sit on me in the future, you'll have to pay again, and the price will be double. This time, I'm charging less because you didn't know about it. Big Rock explained. The face on the rock was smiling so widely that it looked like a flower. We're the same. The fish agreed. Not bad. I won't ask you for more this time. The Earth God also said. After hearing their words, the second elder really wanted to hit himself with a piece of tofu. He didn't know what to say now. At most, he wouldn't sit or look at that stone and fish, but if this land just stood there and asked him for money, he would probably have to bear a huge debt before he could even get out. Moreover, he didn't know when he would be able to get out. These guys were really hateful. Thanks. After hearing the second elder's thoughts, the black soil man was in a good mood and laughed. Old man. Don't be afraid. My charges are very fair. There are 3 types of monthly, yearly, or daily payments. Yearly or monthly payments are much cheaper than daily payments. Which one do you choose? I don't want to choose any of them. The second elder wailed miserably. This was the first time he had heard of the so-called year and month contracts, and this kind of idea actually came from a piece of land. Old man. You can't not choose any of them. Black soil land said with a smile. The second elder was shocked. He had forgotten that this piece of land would know what he was thinking. This was a big embarrassment. That. I want to know how to do a monthly and a yen contract. The second elder asked carefully. It's a year's holiday. It'll cost you 10,000 top-grade crystals a year. At that time, you can sit on any of the stones I have on me. They won't charge you extra. Also, you can also enjoy the fish in this river as you wish, it's all free. It'll charge you 3,000 top-quality crystals a month. If you want to rest on the rock or relax by watching the fish here, you'll have to pay extra. To put it bluntly, except for you who can stand on my body, you'll have to pay for everything else, as for booking the day. It was 200 top-grade crystals a day. Old man, this is much more expensive than a month or a year. I believe you will know how to make the best choice. After Black Soil Land explained, he gave the second elder another round of high praise. What if I leave this place in less than a year? Can I return the money? The second elder thought for a moment and asked. Of course not. We don't give refunds. Black Soil Land said with certainty. If you're afraid of wasting money, you can pay me monthly. Black Soil Land suggested. I'll book the whole year. The second elder sighed and said helplessly. He didn't know how long it would take for him to get out of here, but it was obviously more worthwhile to do it for a year than a month. Hee. Old man, I told you that you're a smart man and know what's the best choice. The black soil ground said happily. It didn't expect its first business to be a great success, it was really happy. Then, the pen and paper floated in front of the second elder. The second elder smiled bitterly and obediently wrote down another IOU. Old man. Do as you wish. You can go anywhere you want here, don't worry. No one will collect money from you anymore. The black soil ground promised in a friendly manner. The second elder nodded. He had already signed an IOU. If he still couldn't go anywhere, wouldn't he be depressed to death? However, he didn't dare to sit on the talking stone anymore. He looked around and then sat down on a relatively wide piece of land. Arg! How dare you! He actually sat on our boss body. Seeing the second elder sit down, the big rock said with a surprised look. I've already paid. The second elder gritted his teeth. Did they think he wanted to sit here? It was all because he didn't want to sit on the face of that stone. Otherwise, he would feel weird. So what if I paid? Get up quickly and don't sit on my boss. Otherwise, I won't let you off. The big rock said angrily. This made it even angrier than the old man sitting on its body. Then where should I sit? The second elder asked dumbly. This annoying stone really liked to meddle in other people's business. The black soil under his feet didn't even have any objections, but he was the first to object. Chapter 1681, Old Man, have you seen enough? 3. Sit on me. Big Rock said after some thought. All right then. The second elder was helpless. He stood up and sat on the big stone that could speak. However, as soon as he sat down, the big rock started to shout, "Io! Why is your butt so smelly? I'm dying from the smell. Quickly go wash up in the river." You, Big Rock's words made the second elder so angry that he stood up from the rock with a bang. He cursed in his heart. Fuck! How was his butt smelly? It was clearly this big rock that didn't want him to sit on it, so it deliberately slandered him. This was preposterous. The second elder was furious. What about me? Go and wash yourself in the river, or else you're not allowed to sit on me. Big Rock said stubbornly. Don't come to my river to wash your smelly ass, or I'll bite you. When the fish on the shore heard this, it immediately shouted anxiously and even deliberately bared its teeth. Coming to its house to wash your ass would pollute the water in its house. When second elder saw that one of them didn't allow him to sit and the other didn't allow him to wash, and the reason was that they thought he was smelly, he was so angry. Fuck. Have you ever seen such a thing? They didn't even have a place to stand after paying. With a heavy heart, the second elder walked to the side of a huge artificial mountain and leaned against it. Since she despised him, he should stay away from her, right? Big Rock and Yu saw that the second elder seemed to be really angry, and they couldn't help but look at each other and smile. Then, Yu jumped onto Big Rock's body and bounced to the front of the second elder. Seeing this, the second elder was furious. Fuck. If you don't like me, why are you still coming to my side? Did she think that he was easy to bully? He really wanted to kick them away when he saw the two hateful faces, but he didn't dare to do so here, in case it caused him unnecessary trouble. Old man. You're the first human to come here, so let's have a good chat about the outside world. Big Rock said shamelessly, not feeling the disdain he had for second elder at all. The second elder glanced at them but did not speak. Old man. Don't be so stingy. The fish said. The second elder simply turned his head and did not look at them. Bang! With a crisp sound, a ray of white light hit the second elder's face. The second elder, who was not prepared in the slightest, was hit. Damn it! You sneak attacked me. The second elder glared at the culprit who had just hit him, the white fish. At this moment, the fish was staring at him with its watery black eyes and an innocent face. The thing that had attacked him was a jet of water that had come out of the fish's mouth. I just want you to turn around. The fish said innocently, but in its heart, it was laughing. Now, the old man's face was wounded, and the position of the wound was excellent, just right on his eye. At this time, one of the second elder's eyes was normal, while the other had been beaten blue, becoming a one-eyed dragon. The fish was very happy with its masterpiece. I don't want to talk to you. You guys get lost. The second elder said angrily. At this moment, the second elder had completely lost his demeanor. If he continued to be provoked like this, he would definitely go crazy. Therefore, he was really annoyed to death by the two guys in front of him. Old man. In the next year, well be neighbors, so well live in peace. Don't be like this. Yu persuaded him earnestly. I don't want to be your neighbor. The second elder said through gritted teeth. If he were to become their neighbor, his life would definitely be shortened. Hee. Old man. This is not up to you. Big Rock laughed. The second elder was speechless at the words of these two buffoons. He really didn't know how to communicate with the beast race. Moreover, these two guys weren't ordinary beast race. They could anger people to death. On this side, the second elder was fuming with anger. The seventh elder and the others who had been constantly challenging the trials in the trial space were also not having a good time. Ever since they complained that Fengde and the others were raising the price on their own, Fengde and the others did not give them any face. Moreover, as the number of failures in the last round increased, the medicinal pills in their hands became more and more difficult to make ends meet. Seeing the number of medicinal pills decreasing day by day, some of the elders began to feel anxious. Fengde. How did you guys do in the last stage? In the dusky space, the seventh elder, who had a heavy responsibility, asked. It's all right. We'll be able to clear it after a few more times. Fengde, who was sitting in the corner, raised his head and said with a smile that was not a smile. Hee. Then congratulations. The seventh elder said with a smile. Seventh elder. It's not too late for you to congratulate us after we've passed the last stage. It's a little too early to say that now. Fengde reminded him with a smile. Thanks, not early. It's not early. I'm just afraid that you'll be immediately expelled after passing the last level, so I'm telling you in advance. The seventh elder explained with a smile. Oh. Fengde responded softly and didn't have any other reaction. Fengde. Can you sell us some of the pills you have? Seeing Feng Die's cold reaction, the seventh elder was embarrassed. However, he had to ask. After all, he had been asked by many elders to come here. I can sell it to you, but the price. Feng De did not finish his sentence, but his meaning was clear. If the price could not be agreed upon, then there was no need to negotiate. The price will be as you say. The seventh elder quickly said. Since the matter had already reached this point, there was no point in discussing the price, because he knew that Feng De and the others would not sell it to them at a low price. Moreover, they had a request this time, so they naturally did not dare to bargain. That's good. Since you're our big customers, I'll sell you 200 top-grade crystals for each bottle. Feng De said with a smile. 200. When the elders heard this price, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. One bottle cost 200 top-grade crystals. This was really not just ordinarily expensive. After all, those were just some ordinary pills for healing and replenishing Shin power. This was already considered a sky-high price. Feng De looked around and took in the expressions of all the elders. He sneered in his heart. That's right. He wanted to brazenly slaughter these fat elders, and they had no choice but to buy it. The elders were silent for a long time. Finally, it was the seventh elder who took the lead and said, I'll take 200 bottles. No problem. Feng De took out a piece of paper and a pen and handed it to the seventh elder. The seventh elder wrote down an IOU, which was equivalent to a slave contract with tears in his eyes. In fact, he still had enough pills in his hands. He was just worried that there would be an awkward silence if no elders were willing to buy them, so he led the way. However, after this incident, he had also decided to ignore these elders' affairs in the future. When they asked him for help, he also asked on their behalf. In the end, no one said they wanted to buy it. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Feng De kept the IOU and handed the 201 bottles of pills to the seventh elder. He then explained, Second elder. This extra bottle is my personal gift to you. As for the discount we talked about last time, it's been cancelled because of that. Oh. Thanks a lot. The second elder said gratefully, but he couldn't help sighing in his heart. Look at how good he is. Although he didn't have this idea because of a bottle of pills, compared to the Ning family's old gu who only thought about their own interests, the words and actions of others really made people feel comfortable. Even if they were being slaughtered, they would be slaughtered as if it was a matter of course, AI. This was the difference between people. Seventh elder, you don't have to be so polite. This is purely for the sake of our personal friendship. Feng De laughed. I understand. I understand. The seventh elder was very happy. After keeping the elixir, he didn't even look at the other elders and went to the side to rest. In a while, he would prepare to continue challenging the levels. You guys aren't buying? What's the matter? Feng De asked as he shifted his gaze to the other elders. I'll buy it. An elder shouted. If you can buy it, come over and write an IOU, then we'll trade. The time limit is half an hour, we won't wait for you if you're late. Besides, this is the last time we're selling pills here, Feng De reminded. After hearing Feng Die's words, many of the elders wavered. After all, he had said that this was the last time he would sell the elixir. If they still didn't buy it this time, they might not be able to buy it in the future. Therefore, as soon as Feng De finished speaking, the elders came one after another. Half an hour later, all of the elders had bought what they thought was enough. Although the price was so painful that they were about to vomit blood, it was still worth it compared to being trapped here. With enough elixirs in their hands, the elders continued to attempt the last level. Not long after they entered the trial space, Feng De and the others also got ready and went into the trial space. 3 months later. The White Rabbit's voice finally rang out again. This time, it was naturally here to deliver good news. The seventh elder has also successfully passed the last stage. Good luck, you guys. After the White Rabbit finished speaking, it disappeared again. From then on, whenever someone passed the last level, the white rabbit would appear and inform them. Another 3 months passed, and the white rabbit appeared more and more frequently. Naturally, it came to report the good news. During this period, Feng De, Lin Yuan, Ling Qingtian, Ling Ruhan, Qing Xian, and the rest had all passed the last level. The number of people left in the trial space had also decreased. Moreover, after they successfully passed the trial, they were all transported to another beautiful and mysterious space without exception. In the other space, the second elder would be extremely excited whenever he saw familiar faces. However, his heart would be filled with depression immediately after that. He could see them, but he could not talk to them, as if there was a layer of barrier between them. Chapter 1682, The Dream Mirror. 1. Every time the second elder wanted to call out to them, the other party did not respond at all. However, he could clearly see the other party's every move. This fact made him extremely angry. Fuck. What was going on? The second elder was burning with anger. He was extremely angry. Of course, he didn't think that the other party was deliberately ignoring him. The only truth was that there was something strange here. The reason why they didn't know each other was because someone had done something to them. The first suspect was naturally the creature inside and the detestable little rabbit. Old man. Don't worry. When you're all here, you'll naturally have the opportunity to meet. The fish consoled the second elder after seeing through his thoughts. At this time, it used its fins to support its body as usual, half standing on the shore, occasionally teasing the depressed second elder. Why? The fish's words left the second elder puzzled. Hee hee. Naturally, it's because you don't have enough people. The fish laughed evilly. In fact, the real reason was that they wanted to earn more money. Therefore, they deliberately separated them. Moreover, whatever happened to second elder would also happen to others. Of course, Feng De and the others were the exception. After all, they were on the same side and could not be charged. Is that really the case? The second elder's face was filled with suspicion. To be honest, he didn't dare to believe this fish's words. Moreover, although he could see the seventh elder and the others, he could not hear what they were saying. However, he could guess from their expressions that they had most likely encountered the same problem as him. Yes, yes. The fish nodded its little head hard and thought to itself, even if it's not like that, you have to believe it. You have no way to prove it anyway, so it's not afraid. Did you guys take their money too? The second elder asked directly. This question had been in his mind for a long time and he had always wanted to ask. That's a must. You have to pay to come to our place. We can't let you see or sit for free, so it's natural to pay. The fish said disapprovingly. Ah. Hearing the tone of the fish's voice and its matter-of-fact expression, the second elder was dumbfounded and speechless. All the living creatures here had the same character, including the trees, flowers, and so on that he had just gotten to know. All of them asked for money. After understanding this fact, he was extremely glad that he had booked the whole year. Otherwise, just the money he paid them would probably be a large sum of money. Sob. These vampires. He was really into money. He was really curious, what did these guys want money for? Could it be that they could leave this place, so they really wanted to save some money? Old man. I'll eat you if you say, again. When the fish heard this, again, it said in an extremely displeased manner. It couldn't help but feel disgusted in its heart. He couldn't even speak properly, so why did he have to keep hiccuping? The second elder didn't expect that the fish would threaten to eat him again. After letting out a sound, he quickly closed his mouth and looked at the fish carefully. He felt so wronged in his heart. Woo! This fish is really hateful. He always liked to threaten himself. Although he was a little curious about whether this fish could eat him, he had to be careful in this strange place. Otherwise, if he was really eaten by a fish, he would regret his wise life. Old man. I especially don't like this, So, don't talk about it in the future. The fish roared angrily. Then, it continued, however, I'll forgive you this time. If there's a next time, I'll just eat you. Yes. I got it. The second elder was full of grievances, but he had no choice but to agree. Thanks, good girl. As long as you're obedient, I'll treat you well. When Yu saw the second elder's cautious appearance, there was no need to mention how satisfied she was in her heart. Humph. So what if he was a reverent god? In this place, they had to be obedient. Now, making the second elder listen to him had already become something that gave him a special sense of accomplishment, hee. The second elder nodded, but he was extremely depressed. He was really being bullied by the fish. The fact that a palm-sized fish had bullied a divine lord made him extremely frustrated. More importantly, he couldn't do anything to the fish. If he was outside, he would have caught this fish and steamed it. In fact, he was not the only one who felt this way. The elders who were isolated in the other space also felt the same way. They had thought that they would be able to leave this place after passing through the 10 stages of the second realm of the illusory sky. Who knew that they would be sent to this place that looked like a paradise but was actually filled with evil demons? Every grass, tree, mountain, stone, and small beast here had intelligence. Not only could they speak, but they only recognized money and not people. No matter what they did, money was the top priority. Therefore, although they arrived at different times, the number of IOUs they had increased. This was a fact. They were so depressed that they almost vomited blood. More importantly, they didn't know how long they would have to stay here, nor did they know where they were. The spiritual creatures that accompanied them every day often angered and threatened them. They were sighing in this beautiful space, but those who were still in the trial space didn't feel good. As the number of people who had passed the last level increased, the number of people who remained in the dusky space also decreased. Thus, among those who remained, those who had slightly weaker mental fortitude became restless, and the pressure on them also increased. However, the 19th elder was the most depressed one. Not only did he not have any close progress in the last stage, but he also had to bear the double mental and physical torture of the white rabbit every day. In addition, he knew that most of the Ning family elders had left, so he was also unusually annoyed. As for Len Ruoxue and the demon, they had already left the illusory heaven. They stayed in their bracelets every day, watching every move in the illusory heaven through the light screen. They were in a rather pleasant mood. In the bracelet, Len Ruoxue and the evildoer sat in the garden. Their eyes were smiling as they looked at the elders who were sighing with a face full of worry. Their hearts were already rolling with laughter. Shwaa. Are these little things really created by the illusion? The demon asked curiously. The images of those little things were too realistic. In his opinion, they were no different from real existences. Yup. This is not an ordinary illusion. Everything in that space is real. Otherwise, I'm afraid the second elder and the others would not be so depressed. Len Ruoxue laughed. Shwaa. The second elder and the others must be depressed. They thought that they would be able to come out after passing the last stage of the trial space, but who knew that they would be sent into the illusion again? More importantly, they still don't know that it's an illusion. The demon said with a face full of sympathy. If he was one of those people, he would probably be depressed as well. Chapter 1683, The Dream Mirror, 2, Hee. The training space and this illusion are originally one, although one is a 2-layer domain and the other is a 3-layer domain, but they can't be completely separated, otherwise, the training space would be incomplete. Len Ruoxue explained with a smile. Shwaa. When do you plan to start the illusion? The demon nodded and couldn't help but ask. Ha ha ha. When they are all here, the illusionary realm will naturally open. Len Ruoxue said with an evil smile. Ah. Would they be able to do it together? Isn't 19th elder still in the hands of that little rabbit? The demon said, a little speechless. Don't count him in. Len Ruoxue said softly. Oh. Right now there are still 10 people in the training space. If they stay in the last stage for another half a year, I'm afraid second elder will have to pay for another year. The demon gloated. He couldn't help but laugh at the thought of this. If they don't stay for half a year, they should be able to pass the last level. Len Ruoxue said in understanding. Now, she would pay attention to the progress of those who were still in the trial space every day. Hence, she was very clear that they would be able to pass the last level very soon. Just as she had expected, in less than 2 months, the last 10 people had successfully passed the last level. However, before they could celebrate, they were immediately transported to the space where the second elder and the others were. When they reached there, they could feel the same treatment that the second elder and the others had received. However, compared to the people who had arrived before them, they were even more depressed. This was because their trial space had been too difficult. They had thought that they could finally leave, but who knew that they would end up in another place? On a certain day. Just as the second elder and the others were doing nothing and staring at the sky in a daze as they did every day, they suddenly felt the space around them shake. Then, they finally saw each other. Second elder. The seventh elder shouted excitedly after seeing the second elder. Seventh brother. I didn't expect to see you in person. The second elder's eyes were filled with tears as he spoke emotionally. Before they met, he was afraid that he would never have the chance to see them again. Although he knew that his worries were groundless, he couldn't help but think so. Now that they could finally meet, he was extremely excited. Second elder. It's so good to see you. After hearing the second elder's sorrowful words, the seventh elder also felt sad. I say, aren't you two old men jealous? It's just that we haven't seen each other for a while. Is there a need for you to put on such an appearance? The fish on the shore, who had been observing for a long time, said with a look of disdain. That. We haven't seen each other for too long. The second elder's face was slightly red as he explained in embarrassment. How is it long? The fish asked. You don't understand our relationship. The seventh elder also interjected. All right. I don't understand. Could it be that a day apart feels like 3 years to you? Yu's black eyes were wide open, and his face was filled with curiosity. Little Yu. You can't just use words like that. When the second elder heard what the fish said, a few black lines immediately slid down his forehead. What the hell was this? Thanks, I didn't use it. Don't think that I don't understand what you're trying to say just because I'm a fish. Let me tell you, I know everything. The fish roared, and a pink flash appeared on its palm-sized pure white body, indicating that it was about to get angry. But, we really didn't do what you said. The seventh elder couldn't help but shiver. He said with some disgust. This fish's thoughts were really too complicated. Don't guess what the fish is thinking. Really? Why doesn't it look like it? Big Rock. Don't you think they're the kind of people who feel like 3 years have passed when we don't see each other for a day? The fish didn't believe the words of the two elders in front of it and directly asked Big Rock, who it trusted more. Xiao Yu is right. I think they are that kind of people too. Big Rock said with certainty. Hee hee. I knew it. How could I be wrong? The fish felt more and more pleased with itself. The second elder and the seventh elder listened to their conversation and their attitude towards their relationship. After looking at each other, they were both speechless. They finally realized that no matter how they tried to explain, it would be useless. This was because the fish and the rock had already determined that their relationship was not simple. They should just keep their mouths shut. At this moment, the 11th elder walked over and greeted them warmly. Second elder, seventh elder. I've missed you guys so much. Second elder and seventh elder didn't dare to respond to 11th elder's words. Both of them kept winking at him, hoping that he would shut his mouth and not talk nonsense. However, 11th elder, who was too excited, didn't understand their intentions. Seeing that the two of them were ignoring him, the 11th elder said with an aggrieved expression, "What's wrong? You don't like to see me?" "Of course they don't like to see you, you third party. Don't get between them. Otherwise, I won't let you off." The 2nd elder and the 7th elder didn't even have time to speak before the fish spoke. As soon as it finished speaking, the 11th elder was already dumbfounded. "Fuck. What did he just hear?" Third party. He didn't hear wrong, did he? How did he become a mistress? Moreover, it was between the 2nd elder and the 7th elder. What he couldn't accept even more was that these words came from the mouth of a fish. In an instant, the 11th elder was on the verge of exploding in anger. However, he immediately realized that this was not normal, so he had no choice but to suppress it. As for 2nd elder and 7th elder, as they listened to the fish's words, more and more black lines appeared on their foreheads. And even their faces turned dark. They knew that they would not hear anything good from this fish. They were clearly very pure family, but in this fish's mouth, it became ambiguous. What was this? Although they were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood, none of them dared to say anything at this moment. Otherwise, this fish would definitely have something to say again. So, it was better for them to remain silent. In addition, they also secretly blamed the 11th elder. They had clearly given him a look, but who knew that this guy actually didn't understand their meaning? He was really stupid. They glared at the 11th elder in exasperation. The 11th elder, who was glared at, felt a stomach full of grievances. In fact, he didn't say anything, did he? How did she become a mistress? He still didn't understand. "Come with me." Seeing that the three of them did not have much of a reaction, Yu directly pointed at the 11th elder and ordered. "Me?" The 11th elder was surprised. "Nonsense. Who else could it be if not you?" The fish said unhappily, but in its heart, it couldn't help but think, this guy is really too stupid, no wonder he can only be a third party. Chapter 1684, The Dream Mirror, 3, What is it? The 11th elder's face was filled with vigilance. "Come with me. Don't disturb their reunion." The fish said matter-of-factly. "I didn't." The 11th elder's face was full of grievance. Why did this fish target him? This was preposterous. However, the 2nd and 7th elders were not happy at all after hearing this, because this meant that the fish had completely recognized their relationship, but they were too lazy to argue with a fish. "You still dare to say no? Didn't you notice that after they saw you, their faces all turned very ugly?" "Don't quibble, my eyesight is very good, I saw everything clearly." The fish roared angrily. It hated mistresses the most in its life because its former favorite fish was seduced by another fish. So, when it saw the little three, it must kill them. However, it could only take this little three to the other side and separate them. The 11th elder was speechless. He felt that no matter how eloquent he was, he couldn't argue with a self-righteous and unreasonable fish, because the fish only believed in his own thoughts and ignored everything else. In this way, even if they had 10,000 reasons in front of them, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to understand this fish. So, he could only respond with silence. "Follow me. I'll take you to a good place." Seeing that 11th elder didn't say anything, the fish thought that he had admitted it. Then, it jumped onto Big Rock's body and left the stream with Big Rock carrying it. Behind them, 11th elder followed involuntarily. When they arrived at their destination, Yor pointed to the place in front of them and said to the 11th elder, "Old man, you can stay here from now on. It's very quiet here, and no one will disturb you." When the 11th elder heard this, he looked up at his surroundings and his face immediately darkened. What the hell was this place? The surroundings were bare, without even a single blade of grass, but no one was disturbing them. Could this be the good place in the fish's eyes? Then why didn't it stay here? However, what he couldn't understand was why he had followed them here. "Old man. You can stay here. We're going back." The fish didn't care about the 11th elder's lack of reaction. After it finished speaking, it was ready to let the big stone take it away. Wait. You're just going to let me stay here? Seeing this, the 11th elder quickly called out. What's wrong? You're not satisfied? It's good enough that a mistress like you can have a place to stay. Don't be so picky, I'm very busy and don't have time for you. Yuer said in an extremely dissatisfied manner. After she finished speaking, she left with the big rock head without looking back. The 11th elder wanted to chase after him, but he realized that he was blocked. This fact made him extremely depressed. Second elder and 7th elder, who were standing in their original spots, saw Yuer and Big Rock return with smiles on their faces, but there was no sign of 11th elder. They couldn't help but feel worried. Little Yuer. Where did you take the 11th elder? The second elder bent down and asked softly. Old man. We all know that you can't be half-hearted. You already have this old man, so don't think about other old men. You can get into trouble if you too time. You'll regret it then. Yuye's face turned serious as she angrily rebuked. The second elder, who had been scolded, was completely speechless. The 7th elder, on the other hand, explained, Fish. We're family, and our relationship isn't what you think it is. Oh, really? Hee hee. Although I'm a fish, I'm not that gullible. So, you can't fool me with your words. The fish said confidently. Its words also meant that the 7th elder's words were in vain. Fish. We're really family. It's not what you're thinking. The 7th elder still refused to give up completely and explained again. Old man. I don't want to hear this anymore. Don't think that I don't know about the complicated feelings of you humans. There are always ambiguous feelings between cousins. Aren't they family? Yu asked back with a smile. This time, the 7th elder was completely out of power, and could only obediently shut his mouth. After dealing with the 7th elder, Yuer stood on top of the huge rock and said loudly, Everyone. Welcome to our home. Here, you will enjoy our home-like service. Each of us will treat you as a family member. So, you don't have to be polite if you need anything. However, even blood brothers settle their accounts clearly. So, you'll have to pay for the extra service. Obviously, the last sentence was the main point it wanted to say. Ugh. When the elders heard the fish's words, they were all speechless. They couldn't help but think to themselves, what a money-grubbing blood-sucking fish. He hadn't even done anything yet, and he was already coveting their money. Sob. This was really too hateful. You guys have fun. The silence of the elders was taken by the fish as consent. After it finished speaking, it jumped off the big stone and went into the stream. Everyone gathered in 2s and 3s and started chatting. This time, Yuer did not appear to accuse any of them of being the third party. Therefore, their hearts were all temporarily at ease. After all, they had heard about the incident with the 11th elder. Thanks. After enjoying a few days of rare peace in this strange space, the elders of the Ning family began to probe the elves. They wanted to figure out the situation here too much, and it always made them feel very uneasy. However, after chatting with them for a few days, they had gained nothing, which made them feel a little helpless. On this day, everyone was gathered together to chat as usual when suddenly, a familiar voice rang out, Hee hee. How have you been these past few days? It was that rabbit. Other than the second elder, the other elders were all shocked. They had heard the rabbit's voice again. Didn't that mean that they were still in the illusory sky? However, they had clearly passed the last stage. How did this happen? You must be surprised to see me. The voice was accompanied by a flash of white light, and then, the white rabbit appeared in front of everyone. Little rabbit. Is this place also under your jurisdiction? The 7th elder asked curiously. Hee hee. You're very smart. The white rabbit was very proud. The 2nd and 3rd realms were inseparable, so naturally, they were closely related to it. Didn't we pass the last level? Why are you still in the illusory sky? The second elder also asked the question that had been buried in his heart for a long time. You've passed the last stage, but it's not over yet. You still have 3 more domains to pass. The little white rabbit laughed evilly and said proudly. A 3-layered domain? All the elders were shocked. In contrast, Fengde and the others were very calm. We didn't say anything about having a 3rd-tier domain. An elder couldn't help but say, oh. Are they being forced by the overlord? The 2nd-tier domain was already so difficult, this 3rd-tier domain would definitely take their little lives. This is not up to you. Anyone who has participated in the trial space will be transported here after passing the trial. So, you have to participate whether you want to or not. Otherwise, you will stay here forever. The little white rabbit explained in a threatening manner. Hearing its words, the elders were so angry that they wanted to curse. Fuck. When they entered, Leng Ruoxue did not tell them that they could even pass the 3rd-tier domain. What should he do now? They were in a difficult position. Old man, you don't have to be depressed. Actually, the 2nd and 3rd-layer domains are inseparable. You'll know when the time comes. The little white rabbit said with a smile. All right. Now you can begin your experience in the 3-layered domain. I wish you all the best. After saying that, the white rabbit laughed again and disappeared on the spot. The elders who were left behind were so depressed that they were about to catch fire. Fengde and the others could only comfort them. Second elder, calm down. Since things had come to this, there was no use in frowning like this. I feel that right now, you should be thinking about how to pass these 3 domains. Why are we the ones who want to? Don't you need to think about it? An elder shouted in dissatisfaction. Of course we don't need to think about it. We've always been carefree. No matter where we are, we won't panic like you. So, we're not afraid. Fengde said loudly. Fengde's words made quite a number of elders feel ashamed because they knew that Fengde was right. They were indeed a little uneasy. In addition, the experience of passing the 2nd realm was too deep in their hearts. Therefore, they were afraid before the battle, which was very unfavorable to the trial. The 2nd elder pondered for a long time before slowly opening his mouth. I really need to think about it, AI. The future generations are to be feared. In the next few days, the elders of the Ning family were silent, but Fengde and the others got along very well with the elves in this space. They lived in the realm. During the day, other than cultivating, their spare time was to chat. Furthermore, there was night in the realm. During this time, they would choose to have a good rest. Unconsciously, everyone slowly fell into a deep sleep. However, as they were in their dreams, they did not notice anything and continued to sleep in their dreams. Chapter 1685, The Nightmare Realm, 1. Their dreams were extremely realistic, and it was also the most realistic portrayal of their hearts. Perhaps they would not think about these dusty past events normally, but in their dreams, they had truly experienced it once again. For example, Fengde and the others were originally mercenaries. Later on, by chance, they became Leng Ruoxue's subordinates. What they cared about the most and were most self-conscious about was naturally the time they spent in the bloodshed and passion on the water-edge continent. In the dream, Fengde and the others had lost their lives and shed their blood. There were countless battles every day, and the friendship between companions had also grown in these battles. It gradually occupied the most important position in their hearts. Therefore, in their dreams, they dreamed of unity, friendship, and team spirit, as well as positive thoughts. Their dreams started on the Ling Wind continent, and then they experienced the Haotian continent and the godly land. Finally, they had a place in the divine world. The dream played in their minds like a movie. There was laughter, sadness, friendship, love, and family in the dream. All of these were important to them. The things that happened in their dreams had long become a part of their lives. The people in their dreams were the most important people to them. In Leng Qingshan's dream, he returned to the year his son and daughter-in-law passed away. Facing his dead son, daughter-in-law, and 2 young children, his heart was in a dilemma. He wanted to take revenge for his son and daughter-in-law, but he didn't have the chance. This fact made him extremely angry, but as an official, he could do nothing about it. After that, he placed all his attention on his child. Unless there was a war, he rarely appeared in public, especially at royal banquets. Leng Ruhan also dreamed of his parents. Even though he was young at that time, he could remember things. Hence, he felt much more deeply about losing his parents than Leng Ruoxue. In addition, his younger sister had always been lacking in intelligence. Hence, all the pressure had been placed on his young shoulders. That was why he had been working hard on his cultivation, hoping that one day he could avenge his parents. His other wish was for his younger sister to get better. When she was young, these were the 2 greatest wishes in Leng Ruhan's heart. However, as he was injured, all the meridians in his body were broken, and he fell from being a genius that everyone looked up to the clouds, becoming a cripple that everyone could step on. He had been in despair and lost, but later, it was his sister who gave him hope and cured his injuries. Only then did he stand in front of the world again, and no longer had to suffer the strange or sympathetic gazes of others. Sister. His sister was the most important person in his heart. When he thought of Leng Ruoxue, Leng Ruhan's eyes flew open, and he became the first person to wake up from his dream. Seeing that Leng Ruhan had woken up in such a short time, the fish and Big Rock, who had been observing their situation at the side, revealed a trace of surprise on their faces. It seemed like this brother of their master was not simple. Feeling the 2 strange gazes, Leng Ruhan subconsciously raised her head and looked at the fish and the Big Rock not far away. With a face full of question marks, she asked, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" Hee. Of course it's not right. The fish said mysteriously. What? Leng Ruhan was still in a daze. He only felt that he had had a very long dream. In the dream, he thought of many things from the past, and he thought that he had long forgotten about those things. He didn't expect to dream about it. Were you dreaming just now? Yu said with a smile. Thanks, yes. Leng Ruhan nodded her head honestly. It seemed like they could not hide anything from these little fellows. Actually, there's a reason for you to dream about those things. This is the ability of the 3-layered illusionary sky domain. This place is called the Nightmare Realm. The people and beasts in here will involuntarily dream about the things that have been hidden in the depths of their hearts for a long time. Of course, this is not absolute. It mainly depends on what is the most important place in your heart. The things you dream about can be seen as your inner demons. If you can't overcome these inner demons, you will be trapped in a nightmare realm. It'll only be harmful to your cultivation. The fish explained. In addition, the higher a cultivator's strength is, the more things they've experienced, and the more serious their inner demons will be. If the cultivator himself can't overcome these inner demons, sooner or later he'll go into chi deviation. At that time, it'll be too late to overcome these inner demons with his own strength, and no one can help him with things like inner demons. The fish continued. Then what am I doing? Leng Ruhan asked in confusion. She had heard of inner demons before, but she did not know if she had passed the test of the nightmare realm since she had woken up so early. Ha ha ha. Of course, you've passed the test. Furthermore, you're the first human to pass the test of our nightmare realm. The fish smiled, but in her heart, she was a little infatuated. A beautiful man is a beautiful man. Even a frown was so beautiful. It found Leng Ruhan extremely pleasing to the eye now. In the past, it had a good relationship with them all because of its master. However, now, it was sincerely optimistic about Leng Ruhan and the others. Are you sure? Leng Ruhan asked worriedly. Actually, he did not feel like there was any test. In his heart, it was just a dream. Now that he had woken up from the dream, this fish said that he had passed the test. Was it really that simple? I'm sure. He was very sure. Actually, your dream is very simple. It's nothing more than wanting to work hard and improve. However, There's an important person in your dream, and that's our master, your sister Leng Ruoxue. The reason why you were able to wake up so quickly was all because you dreamed of her. She gave you a strong will and a tenacious spirit. Master is the most important person in your heart, so why would you be willing to be trapped in a dream and not wake up? The fish said in understanding. Shuai is your master, does that mean you really exist? Leng Ruhan gently lifted the palm-sized fish and stroked its cold scales as she asked curiously. Hee hee. Of course we are not real, but in this nightmare realm, we are real. This is our home, under our control. That rabbit is our boss, we are just its subordinates. The fish smiled shyly. Although it was genderless, it would still feel embarrassed to be caressed by such a beautiful man. I see. Leng Ruhan understood. I wonder when Grandpa and the others will wake up. With that, Leng Ruhan looked worriedly at her grandfather and the rest. Don't worry. They'll wake up eventually. The fish promised. Grandpa has a lot on his mind, unlike me who only has 2 simple wishes. Leng Ruhan said unhurriedly. He could still remember everything that had happened in his dream clearly, so he knew the pain in his grandfather's heart. Chapter 1686, The Nightmare Realm, 2, This kind of thing has to be thought through by himself. Outsiders can't help him. Moreover, while his strength is not high now, if he is really invaded by the inner demons, there is still a medicine to save him. Otherwise, when his strength is high, these inner demons in the depths of his heart may invade his cultivation. At that time, no one can save him. You are reminded. This was also the main reason why their master had asked them to come here while they were still weak. As for those old men of the Ning family, they were just there in passing. After all, their strength was too high and they would definitely have a lot of inner demons. Therefore, if they could not wake up on their own, then there would be no cure. I know, Leng Ruhan nodded. How could he not understand what Shuai was thinking? No matter when, Shuai always thought for them. Just like that, Leng Ruhan, who was the first to wake up, stayed in the nightmare realm while waiting for the others to overcome their inner demons. At the same time, she chatted with the elves and occasionally cultivated for a while. As the days passed, under Leng Ruhan's anticipation, Leng Qingtian finally woke up. Grandpa. Leng Ruhan was extremely excited to see her grandfather. She couldn't help but throw herself into Leng Qingshan's arms, just like when she was young. Good child. I've made you worry. After waking up, everything in the dream was still extremely clear. Immediately, the experienced and knowledgeable Leng Qingtian knew that the dream was not as simple as it seemed. Grandpa. It's good that you're awake. Leng Ruhan said, feeling a little embarrassed. After his excitement, he realized that he was still in his grandfather's arms. This made him, who had been an adult for many years, blush. Ha ha ha. I still have my cute grandsons and granddaughters waiting for me. How can you sleep for so long? Leng Qingtian couldn't help but laugh as he teased his grandson when he saw his grandson's face turn red. Grandpa. I'm not going to talk to you if you keep doing this. Leng Ruhan was so embarrassed that she wished she could find a hole to hide in. All right. I was wrong, you can't ignore me. Although his son and daughter-in-law were no longer around, they had left him with 2 adorable grandsons and granddaughters. He should be satisfied. They still haven't woken up. Then, Leng Qingtian turned his gaze to Fengde and the others. He was worried. Fengde and the others were considered his juniors, so he naturally didn't want anything to happen to them. Grandpa. Don't worry. It's only the 3rd day. Leng Ruhan consoled him. He had more confidence in Fengde and the others than in his grandfather. After all, Fengde and the others did not have complicated experiences, unlike his grandfather who had lost his loved ones. Although Fengde and the others did not have any family, they had never cared about such things. If they did not have such things, why would they care? Ruhan is right. These little fellows will definitely wake up. Leng Qingtian said confidently. Then, he looked at his old friends. He wasn't too worried about these old men, as they were all very smart, and there were very few things that could affect them. However, the one he was most worried about was Lin Liang. Although that guy usually didn't say anything, he had hidden many things in his heart. What Lin Liang was most concerned about was the time when Ruhan lost all her cultivation. He just didn't know if he could overcome this obstacle in his dream. Grandpa. Don't worry too much. They've braved so many storms and waves, so they won't capsize in this small river. Ling Ruhan reminded. Ling Qingtian nodded. This nightmare isn't a small brook. If he wasn't careful, there was really the danger of capsize. However, he had confidence in the people around him. This wouldn't be a problem for them. With her grandfather's company, Ling Ruhan was no longer alone. The two of them chatted every day and recalled many things from the past. Those things seemed to have happened yesterday and were still very clear. However, after they talked about it this time, the two of them felt much more relaxed. The past that they had been unwilling to mention would no longer become a burden to them. While they were chatting, they were also paying attention to every move of Feng De and the others. It was only when they woke up from their dreams one by one that their hearts were completely at ease. Feng De. What did you dream of? Ling Ruhan could not help but ask curiously when she saw that Feng De was still smiling when he woke up. When Feng De heard Ling Ruhan's question, he stammered and was a little embarrassed to answer. When he saw Ling Ruhan's expression, a hint of disdain appeared in his watery black eyes as he said, "What else can he dream of?" Of course, he dreamed that he had a wife and a son, and he became a reverent god again. Thanks, damned little fish. You actually betrayed me. Hearing the fish's words, Feng De was a little angry from embarrassment. He rushed to the fish and was about to teach it a lesson, but who knew that the cunning fish would actually jump away. Seeing this, he quickly caught up. When the other people saw Feng De chasing after a fish, they couldn't help but laugh. Ha ha ha. Captain. Your ambitions are quite big. Captain. We're going to follow your example and work hard. Lin Yuan and the others jeered at the side, making Feng De's face turn red with anger, and he chased the fish even more closely. Big guy, I'm telling the truth. How can you kill the fish to silence me? The fish said provocatively as it jumped around. The truth. This is my secret, but you've revealed it to me. Do you even have any professional ethics? Feng De was very dissatisfied. He had lost all his face. What's the big deal? Humans strive to climb higher, while water flows lower. Which man didn't want to have a wife, children, and a successful career? You don't have to be embarrassed, really. Trust me. You were promised with a serious expression. Trust you? Do you believe in a fish? Feng De was a little speechless. He was not stupid enough to believe the words of a fish, and this fish was a fake fish. Don't look down on fish. Otherwise, you'll regret it. The fish warned. Are you threatening me? Feng De raised his eyebrows and said in disbelief. Hee hee. How would I dare? I'm just telling the truth, a good kid shouldn't bully a fish. You said with a smile. Then can we eat the fish? Feng De roared in anger. You can eat the other fish, but I don't have any meat on my body. Are you sure you want to eat it? Yu asked with an evil smile. After Feng De heard Yu's words, he was stunned and immediately became depressed. This fish could only be considered a virtual image and couldn't be eaten. Thinking of this, he stopped and returned to his original position. The fish saw this and followed after him. What are you following me for? Glancing at the tail that was bouncing around behind him, Feng De said in a bad mood. He was so depressed in his heart. Why was he competing with a fake fish? This fish can't be hit, can't be scolded, and can't be eaten. Chapter 1687, The Nightmare Realm, 3, I'm not following you. You go your way, I'll go mine. Let's mind our own business. The fish said matter-of-factly. Feng De was a little angry. He sat on the ground and didn't say anything. the fish sat next to him with its fins. Looking at the man and fish, everyone couldn't help but turn their heads and laugh. Seeing their trembling shoulders, Feng Die's anger grew even more. Damn it! Can't you just sit further away from me? We cannot. This is my territory, I can sit wherever I want to. The fish said righteously. All right. You've won. Feng Die's face darkened. Suddenly, he shouted, Little rabbit. Come out, quickly send me out. The little white rabbit that heard Feng Die's call appeared in front of everyone after a white light flashed. It looked at the naughty fish, then glanced at the depressed Feng De, and said in a serious tone, I'm sorry, Feng De. I can't send you out now. Why? Didn't I pass the test here? Feng Die's eyes were wide open as he said in disbelief. He passed the test, but he wasn't allowed to leave. What was this? Now, he was deeply experiencing the depressed mood of those Ning family elders. But they haven tea. The little white rabbit pointed at the second elder and the others who were still in their dreams. What do they have to do with me? Feng De was speechless. He wasn't familiar with those elders. Of course it's related. You came in together to take the test. Although I don't ask you to wait for them to wake up before you can leave together, you can't just leave them here alone. The little white rabbit said with a smile. Then what do you want us to do? Give me a straightforward answer. When can we leave this place? Feng De asked impatiently, but he was so angry in his heart. There wasn't such a requirement when he was in the trial space of the second-level domain. Why did the request change here? Hee hee. Of course, they're asking you to live here for a while. As for when you can leave, it depends on when they wake up. The white rabbit explained. Didn't you say that you wouldn't ask us to wait for them to wake up before we can leave? Feng De couldn't help but ask. It's not a request. However, you must at least wait for half of them to wake up before you can leave. The little white rabbit said innocently. Fuck. What kind of logic is this? We're not even close to them, why should we stay here to accompany them? Feng De roared in anger. I have no choice. This is the rule of the Nightmare Realm. The little white rabbit irresponsibly attributed Feng Die's dissatisfaction to the rules of the realm. In fact, the Nightmare Realm did not have such rules, but it did not want Feng De and the others to leave this place too early. It could also be said that it was too bored. With Feng De and the others here, it could chat with them occasionally. If they left now, wouldn't it become a loner again? As for the Ning family's elders, they weren't among the people it wanted to chat with. What it liked to do more was to mess with them. You're not lying to me? Feng De asked doubtfully. Or it could be said that he didn't really believe this cunning little rabbit's words, but he couldn't go to the mist to confirm this matter now. I'm such a cute little rabbit, why would I lie? The rules are the rules, and I can't change them. So, you can stay here with peace of mind. Anyway, it doesn't matter where I stay. I won't charge you for it. The little white rabbit said matter-of-factly with a smile on her face. After hearing the white rabbit's words, Feng De and the others were a little speechless. What did she mean by staying there was not staying there? How could this be the same as his own home? He had a comfortable bed at home, but what was there here? In addition, not charging them was not a reason for them to be willing to stay here. Did they have to live here happily just because he didn't charge them? Looking at everyone's depressed expressions, the white rabbit continued, since you're already here, then take things as they come. Isn't that what you all say the most? So, you can just go with the flow and live a good life here. It'll send you out when half of the elders are awake. With that, the white rabbit disappeared in a flash of white light. What do we do now? After the white rabbit disappeared, Feng De asked everyone in the room with a depressed look. Thanks, what other way is there? Of course, I'll adapt to the situation. Leng Ruhan said with a faint smile. The expression on her face was extremely calm. Hee hee. Feng De. You have to learn from the beautiful man, look at how calm he is, unlike you who can't hold your temper. In fact, it's for your own good that you're allowed to stay here. At least you'll be able to calm down and your mood won't be so restless. The fish said softly. I know. Fengde said unhappily. After he finished speaking, he walked to a corner and sat down cross-legged with his eyes closed to regulate his breathing. I still need to train. Yu looked at Fengde and sighed. However, its words made Leng Ruhan laugh. Why do you speak like an old man, little fish? Leng Ruhan said, amused. I'm just sighing. Yu said, a little embarrassed. Fish. How long will it take for these elders to wake up? Leng Qingtian asked curiously. I don't know. However, if their inner demons are too strong, it's possible that none of them will wake up. The fish thought for a moment and said. This was definitely not an alarmist talk, but a fact. This was because many of the elders were too ambitious. If they couldn't get past him, there was a high chance that they would never wake up. You can't wake up. That won't do. When Leng Qingtian heard Yuer's words, he was a little anxious. Those people were all elders of the Ning family. Although many of them were not very likable, if they really did not wake up, how would Shuer explain it to Master Ning? I have no choice. The only person who can help them now is themselves. The fish said in understanding. These Ning family elders had lived for a long time and had experienced many things. Although many things had been sealed away, many things that they had experienced now were replayed in their dreams, and many of them were things they did not want to touch. However, what made you not know whether to laugh or cry was that a considerable number of elders were most concerned about the fact that they were in debt. In the hearts of those elders, nothing was more important than a debt. In their dreams, a considerable number of them had dreamed that they had sold themselves to repay their debts. From then on, they would work like cows and horses for Leng Ruoxue. Once they paid their debts, they would spend their entire lives without freedom. As for the second elder, he had actually experienced the scene of being swallowed by the fish in his dream. However, at the same time, this scene also jolted him back to reality. It seemed that the threat of the fish still occupied a place in his heart. In fact, if it was any other time, the second elder would not be so weak. It was just that he had just experienced the torture of the trial space not long ago, and his heart was at its weakest. Therefore, in this strange place, the threat of the fish had become a nightmare in his heart. But at the same time, it was also because of the fish that he had woken up. Looking at the second elder's pale face, which was covered in sweat, Leng Qingtian walked to his side and asked with concern, Second elder, how are you? Are you all right? I'm fine. The second elder said with a lingering fear. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. How could he dream of being eaten by a fish? Could it be that what you think in the day is what you dream of at night? Although he had always been curious about how the small fish would eat him, it shouldn't have become a nightmare in his heart, right? He could not understand. The fish, who knew what he was thinking, revealed the secret with a single sentence. Old man. The inner demons were everywhere. Sometimes, even a small matter can become a hidden demon in the depths of one's heart. The fish warned. After hearing Yuer's words, the second elder could not help but think deeply. Was it really as simple as an inner demon? He couldn't believe that the little fish had become a demon in his heart. In fact, he suspected that his dream had been tampered with. This was because he clearly remembered that in his dream, he had no ability to resist at all. He could only let the fish swallow him alive, and no one could hear his cry for help. He had to admit that at that moment, he was in despair. The feeling of death was even more shocking than the death he had experienced in the first-tier illusionary sky domain. Now that he thought about it, he still had cold sweat. However, after he woke up, he knew that it was just a test for him, a test for his inner demons. Now that he had woken up, it was enough to prove that he had passed the test. Although he was a little confused about how he had passed the test, it was better than sleeping forever. After thinking about it this way, he couldn't help but worry again. Besides him, no elder of the Ning family had been able to wake up from their dreams, and if they couldn't wake up on their own, he couldn't do anything. Chapter 1688, Well, each pay our own bills. 1. The second elder looked at the other elders of the Ning family worriedly. Seeing this, Yu consoled them considerately, "Old man. Don't worry. They'll wake up, but even if they don't, they can't blame anyone. It can only be said that their inner demons are too deep." Although the fish's words sounded like it was comforting, the meaning behind it made the second elder extremely uncomfortable. However, he had no choice but to admit that what the fish said was the truth. If they wanted to overcome their inner demons, it would be very difficult for external forces to have any effect. They could only rely on themselves. In the nightmare realm, the second elder was worried about the heart demons of the other Ning family elders. However, the Ning family elders in the nightmare realm were completely unaware that they were still living in their own dreams in deep waters and suffering. In the dream, the elders of the Ning family, led by the seventh elder, happened to dream of the scene when they had just arrived at the illusionary sky. From the first layer of the illusionary sky, they had once again experienced the unforgettable test of life and death in their dream. The difficult challenge in the second layer of the illusionary sky, as well as the fact that they had been transported to this strange space after successfully passing the challenge, all flashed through their minds rapidly like a movie. However, what left the deepest impression on them were the IOUs. At this time, they didn't know how much debt they owed, but they knew that they couldn't pay it off. After owing a huge debt, they were now Ling Ruoxu's people. In their dreams, they had an endless amount of work to do every day. Furthermore, even a small subordinate of Ling Ruoxu dared to order them around. Ling Ruoxu's beastie also bullied them, especially a pure white fish. It would eat them if something was not to their liking. This had caused a serious trauma to their hearts. Originally, only a portion of the elders were very concerned about this matter. However, later on, for some reason, the elders in the dream actually all became afraid of this matter. They kept repeating the same dream in their dreams, and the same nightmare kept happening every day, which made them feel more stressed. This was reflected in their bodies as well. Each and every one of them was pale, drenched in sweat, and twitching from time to time. The second elder was even more worried. Before the elders woke up, the second elder's heart was in his throat, and he could not calm down. Every day, he was like a headless fly, pacing back and forth in the nightmare realm, making Fengde and the others dizzy. Second elder. Calm down. If you keep turning around like this, we'll get dizzy before they wake up. Fengde couldn't take it anymore. I'm worried about them. The second elder roared. I know you're worried about them, but will you be able to help them? Fengde scoffed at the second elder's discomposure. The second elder was left speechless. Old man. Calm down. If you can't stay calm, I'll eat you. The fish threatened. Hearing Yuer's words, the second elder became even more depressed. He was only worried about his family. Was that wrong? And this fish actually threatened him by eating him. It was really too much. However, as someone who lived under someone else's roof, he really didn't dare to provoke this local fish. After all, the bloody and terrifying scene in his dream was still fresh in his memory. Seeing that the second elder had shut his mouth, Yuer nodded her head in satisfaction and said, in view of your restlessness, we've decided to send you out in advance after some discussion. What? He could leave in advance? No. I also want to leave early. Before the second elder could react, Fengde, who had heard this, was the first to give in. Thanks, you can't go out early. The fish didn't even lift its eyelids as it indifferently said. Why? If he can go out, why can't I? This is differential treatment. No. I'm not convinced. I'm going to complain to Miss. Fengde roared in anger. I also want to file a complaint. I don't want to go out. The second elder added fuel to the fire. Hee hee. One of you wants to leave but can't, so you're making a complaint. The other wants to leave but can't, so you're making a complaint. It's rare that you're so united. However, I want to tell you that since you're in the nightmare realm, you have to listen to us. Whoever we tell you to leave, must leave. Even if you find master, he won't care. The fish said confidently. After listening to the fish's words, Fengde and the second elder looked at each other with a rare tacit understanding. Although they were both skeptical of the fish's words, if the fish was not confident in this matter, it should not be so confident. Thinking of this, the two of them fell silent for the time being. However, the fish did not give the second elder the chance to think. With a flash of white light, the second elder was sent out of the nightmare realm. When the second elder came back to his senses, he realized that he was already standing outside his house. Seeing this scene, he quickly ran towards the Leng family's main residence opposite his own. After knocking on the door of the main residence, second elder saw Leng Ruoxue as he wished. In the living room. The second elder said directly, "Little girl, I want to go back to that nightmare realm or whatever. Quickly send me back." Second elder. You've passed the test and come out, so it's impossible for you to go back. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Why? The second elder was puzzled. The fantasy sky's second and third realms are inseparable. If you want to return to the nightmare realm, you'll have to go through the 10 stages of the second realm. Furthermore, if you want to go through the stages again, the difficulty will be 10 to 100 times higher. Not only that, you'll have to go through the nightmare realm again. Leng Ruoxue explained with a smile. Ah. You're not lying to me? The second elder looked at Leng Ruoxue suspiciously. Second elder. I can't wait for you to challenge the trial again. This way, I can sell quite a lot of my pills. Leng Ruoxue replied with a smile. Even though Leng Ruoxue's words sounded realistic, second elder knew that she was speaking the truth. If he were to attempt the levels again, he would have to consume a lot of pills. The amount of pills he had on hand was far from enough, so he had to buy them from Leng Ruoxue. At the thought of this, he gave up on the idea of returning to the nightmare realm. It was not that he was unwilling to part with the money, nor was he disloyal. It was just that he would not be of much help even if he returned to the nightmare realm. Sigh. It seemed that he could only stay outside and worry. Seeing that second elder had made a wise decision, Leng Ruoxue smiled and said, Second elder, I understand how you feel, but they have to rely on themselves for this kind of thing. Besides, aren't Fengde and the others still inside? They will take good care of the other elders for you. The second elder nodded and thought to himself, since things have come to this, we can only do this.